5, 4, 3. Hi, everybody. Dugroz here with Dugroz Reports. Welcome to my Saturday morning live stream. Today is Saturday, March the 29th, 2025, and I'm reporting live from my house. Today's theme of the day is 12 different credit card content ideas, credit card sub niches for credit card content creators. So we'll be thinking like if you were a new up and coming YouTuber or content creator and you wanted to get into the game, like what are some ways you can kind of customize what you do so that you stand out from the crowd? I see 15 people on board already. Thank you very much. We've got Mike Newland on board. And then right away, big time diehard Tom Graber drops a $5 super chat. Celebrate. Thank you so much, Tom. He says, I'm here, and I appreciate that. Samuel Benton has arrived, also a diehard. Good morning, Samuel. Can't remember if we've met before, but if not, I am thankful to have you on board. Cesar Joel is here, my mi hermano. Aquí Dugroz, con report. Okay, I think this is my intro. Aquí Dugroz, con reportes Dugroz, something like that. I know con means with in Spanish. That's my high school Spanish coming back. Seabass has arrived, as has TM Cowling, Kevin Hawthorne, Kirby G. Hello from a long weekend in Eagle River, Wisconsin. And then I see Ian is here too. $1.99 on the super chat. Bam! Celebrate. Thank you, Ian. He's a long-term diehard. Uncle Luke has arrived. What up, boys? Good to see you, Luke. And Xavier lets us all know he's been a member for 8 months. Let's go. Thank you, X. I appreciate that. 32 people on board. Please click the thumbs up button. That'll drive more people to come in here and watch. But before we get too much further, let's just do what we always do. Let's dive into a heaping helping of some Dugroz data points. Data point number 1, and this is a hat tip to the folks at Frequent Miler. Thank you for all they do. Is Citi no longer allowing product changes between AA Advantage cards and thank you point cards? I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say A Advantage, AA Devantage. But anyway, so Citi issues the American Airlines proprietary co-branded credit cards. And historically, you've been able to product change from a thank you point earning card to a American Airlines card and back and forth. Citi was one of the few issuers that let you go in and out of those co-branded cards. There are a handful of data points that have been reported within the last week that's not being allowed anymore. As of just about a week ago, there was an initial post. Someone from Frequent Miler attempted. I think it was Tim. And then another person in the comments. So we have at least 3 data points of people who said they tried to product change and were not allowed to. So what's that all about? Your guess is as good as mine. One person speculated because American Airlines will become a transfer partner of Citi, they had to make this concession to shut down that ability. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what some rando guy on the internet said. Andrew Beach has arrived. What's up? I saw that American released some Munich to Charlotte business class awards on Alaska. Hey, that's really cool. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that. I have my plans now solidified for our return trip home, so I don't specifically need that, but it's on my mind, and I keep getting my seats.arrow alerts, so I am thinking about it. Xavier says, I hope not. I have 2 AA cards I'm trying to turn into custom caches. Give them a call. Let us know what happens and then report back. We could use the data points. If that is the case, bummer. And Ian says, that was my plan too. Bummed about the change. Like I said, just 3 data points of various people, but where there's smoke, there's fire. So we'll have to see what develops with that. All right, next up. Hyatt's 2025 category changes, particularly bad for mattress running and free night certs. This is actually a done deal. So we know once a year, Hyatt redoes all their categories. Sometimes they go up, sometimes they go down. Most of the time they go up. So like category 1s become 2s, 4s become 5s, 7s become 8s. those kind of things. Just, it's a mild devaluation every year, but at least I give them credit for announcing it in advance. So the purpose of this, again, Hat Tip Frequent Miler, is just to let you know this went into force on Tuesday, March 25th. So those new Hyatt categories are now in effect. This does, in a small way, affect me directly because here in the Des Moines area, around Des Moines, Iowa, where I live, there are 3 Hyatts. There's one in downtown Des Moines, one on the west side, it's called Jordan Creek area, and one in the east side, which is Altoona. That's a suburb. The downtown one and the Altoona one have already been Category 2. The downtown might be a 3, I don't remember. But the Jordan Creek one was always a Category 1. It just now changed to a Category 2. So I no longer have any Category 1s in my area, and frankly, the whole state of Iowa. There are no Category 1s in the state of Iowa anymore, unfortunately. Not that there's a ton. There's probably only 5 to 7 Hyatts. Shucks. All right, moving on here. Live in branch, the Chase Sapphire Preferred offer is now a go. This is a 100,000 point offer. So if you have the ability to sign up for the Chase Sapphire Preferred, either it's your first time or you waited the requisite 48 months. Is it 48 or 24? Let me know. I think it's 48. Downgrade to a Freedom or a Freedom Flex, something like that. Wait 30 days and then apply. If you have the ability to go in branch, you can ding it up for 100 grand. Yeah, not much to say about that. There is a rumor out here. The online offer is supposed to be coming by April 3rd. By the way, this is hat tip to Doctor of Credit. Thank you to the good doctor. Ian has a follow-up comment on the American Airlines cards not being able to product change into a thank you point card or vice versa. I'm 99% sure it's a real long-term change. At least 3 people on Discord couldn't, plus Tim at Frequent Miler, plus a number of Frequent Miler users. I hope it's because Citi will now transfer to AA. If not, thumbs down. I would agree with that. 48 months, confirming what I said here. Sapphire Preferred or Reserve, you have to wait 48 months after you got the bonus. Today is kind of a overcast day. So if I look a little pale, so pale, it's because I don't have hardly any natural light. So I'm having to use more artificial light than usual. And then, of course, if I hit my glasses at the right angle, the glow of my monitor shows it looks like I have alien purple eyes. So sorry about that. 38 people on board. Each one of you, please click the like button, and that'll help more people come watch this, both now and after the fact. All right, what's the next data point we got queued up here? There's a report that the Chase Freedom categories, like Freedom and Freedom Flex rotating categories, for the second quarter will have a surprise of 5x on internet, cable, and phone. So you know that we've got every quarter the categories change. And then this year they've been doing a thing where like the last month of each quarter. So in March, June, there's a special quarter. I think the March one is tax payments. And supposedly in June, it's going to be internet, cable, and phone, which isn't great because if you have the CIC, Chase Inc. Cash, you already get that. But this also is a good time to remind us that I think I've got a whole nother screen here. Bear with me. There it is. A good time to remind us that right now we have, maybe I said that wrong. No, I said it right. Okay, so as a reminder, right now through March 31st, we've got grocery, fitness, and spa. And the current March surprise categories are insurance and tax prep, which has been working for tax payments as well. So that's what's going on right now. You've got today, tomorrow, and Monday. So 3 days, including today, to take advantage of that. I've been told that if you make a purchase in person, you can go right up till the last day. You can go to 11:59 p.m. on the last day of March 31st. If it's online, you might want to leave a day or two cushion. So I would say if you're planning to do this online, probably do it today to make sure it's working okay. And then next quarter, the regular categories will be Amazon and streaming, again, they're pretty meh because, if you have the Amazon card, you already get 5% cash back. Not as good as earning Ultimate Rewards, but still pretty decent. Streaming, there's lots of cards that give you a bump up on streaming, so not that big of a deal. And then supposedly internet, cable, and phone during the month of June. So that's how the Chase Freedom and Freedom Flex shake out, just giving those reminders because we are close to the end of the quarter, and it's a good day to talk about the end of the quarter. Looky there, we have John R., consistent as always, and a Dugroz diehard, dropping $1.99. Celebrate, celebrate. Thanks, John. Toot, toot. Hit and run. I'm running errands and will watch the replay. No problem. Thank you for your patronage and faithfulness, John. Filmo's here, also a big-time diehard, and says, a pale Midwesterner? ? I know, it's so weird, right? And also says, I have once again earned 0 points on my multiple Freedom Flex cards. I'm going to bring you folks a report on that, but I'm going to come really close to maxing out all 4 of them in our household, this category, this season with grocery, this quarter. That's what I'm trying to say. So going into most of this week, we've had great temperatures like in the 70s, but today is a little more pale, a little more overcast. It might even be rainy. I'm not sure. I haven't looked outside yet. Temperature's down too, so that means my nose is kind of going like this. Sorry about that, guys. Moving on, Gold Homer has arrived. How you doing, Gold Homer? Good to see you. What do we have up next? Oh, yes. Well, we need to just note some things and be reminded of some things regarding the end of the quarter. And one of those is that if you have a various Sapphire card, the preferred or reserve, you get more of the reserve. You have your DoorDash credits. And you can see here, I spent $2.18 on DoorDash, but that was after all the credits were applied. So just for the sake of sharing and helping us all think through this, I'll be happy to tell you what I bought. This was just yesterday. Dollar General, and I got some milk, some Hellmann's mayonnaise, condiment mayonnaise, apparently. 2 cans of generic tomato soup, and I was going to get some chicken pot pies, but they were out of stock, so I got some beef pot pies instead. After I got home and looked all these things over, or I didn't get home, it was delivered, looked it over, I thought, this is probably, if we were to go to Walmart or Fairway or Aldi, this would be about $10 worth of groceries. Not the amount that Dollar General charges, but still worth doing. You just have to think of what it's actually worth. So it came out to $12.55. There was a small service fee, which was reduced because, of the DoorDash membership you get in the CSR. My delivery fee was waived because it was over $12. I got the $10 on non-dining credit, whatever you call that. $5 normal credit, which you can now combine, which is nice. $4 tip. And if you take all this, add it together, subtract that out, $2.18. So let's see, 12 plus that's 16, 17 minus 15. Yep, a little over $2. So if I got $10 worth of groceries in my mind, minus roughly $2 for what I actually paid, that's about an $8 a month benefit, roughly. That's how I think about it. Let me know in the comments, either down below if you're watching after the fact or over there on the side if you are live, how you use the CSR credit and what do you value it at. So if it's a $15 credit and I valued it $8, that's a little over half. That's like, what, 60%? Something along those lines. Dad on a Mission has arrived, as has the Rewards Master. Good to see you, Rewards Master. You may or may not have a mention coming later in the live stream. In today's segment for We Don't Take Amex, here's an example. It's a little hard to see. I apologize. I took my mom to the doctor's office earlier this week. And I don't know if you've ever been to a doctor's office where they give you kind of like an iPad or just a generic tablet of some kind where you are like, do you smoke? No. Do you use alcohol? No. Do you... have you fallen in the last 3 months? No. And you hit all the buttons and you go through your insurance and stuff. And then you get to the very end and ask you to pay with the pad itself. On the screen, it said we take all 4 of the big ones, Visa, MasterCard, Amex, and Discover. I broke out my mom's Hilton card to pay with, which is an American Express. and swiped it 2 or 3 times. It says, we are unable to process your payment. And I remember in the back of my head one other time trying this and it failed with an Amex card. So I'm like, I think this is just a they say they take Amex, but they really don't situation. Sure enough, broke out a MasterCard, paid with that, went through on the first swipe. So add Mercy Health Systems to the places that don't take Amex, and apparently a place that says they take Amex but don't, whatever that is worth. Jonathan Martinez has arrived. How you doing, Jonathan? Don't think we've met before. Hi, Dugroz. Love your content, man. Listen, any tips or hacks on using the $60 credit on the Hilton Honors business card? Big hugs from Spanish Harlem, aka Manhattan, New York. Thanks. Appreciate that, Jonathan. Just stay tuned. Just in a couple minutes, we'll be discussing Hilton credits. So very timely. Anthony Venture has arrived. Fire. Yuri G has arrived. Hi, guys. How you doing, Anthony, Jonathan, and Yuri? Happy to see all of you on board. Move along. I mentioned this one last week, but it's so good, I'll mention it again. You can buy Wyndham points for as low as 0.72 cents each, which is actually a really good rate. And this goes through April 15th. This is a mystery bonus, so it's kind of targeted depending on your status levels. You'd have to log into your app or the Wyndham site to see where that comes out. You could buy Wyndham points. I value them at 1.25 cents if using it for either cottages or Vacasa. So, right there, you're gaining somewhere around 50% value. So I think it's worth doing if you have a use case in mind, but if not, don't do it. I just want to give a personal shout out to Manuel Jimenez, who has now been a Dugroz diehard for 12 months. I try to always recognize folks when they hit their 12-month anniversary. Hopefully I don't forget. So celebrate. Thank you, Manuel, for your patronage and faithfulness. And what is a Dugroz diehard? If you don't know, that's a channel member. I have one and only one channel ship member level, a Dugroz diehard. It's $3 per month, and you can cancel that anytime. What do you get? Well, I'll pay a little more attention to you. I'll love you a little more. But also you get most videos released a day early. But most important of all, I now have somewhere between 38 and 40 members only videos. These are the more sensitive topics that I don't want there to be out publicly. Sometimes I can just kind of share my heart as a creator, what I'm struggling with. Every once in a while, it's just playing a personal video. Here's what's going on in my life. So if you want to watch those, you have to join as a diehard. Now, you could, in theory, cancel after a month and just binge watch them all. And I wouldn't really mind if you did that either. So just thought I'd mention that. And again, please click thumbs up if you are on board. There's 57 people on board. I'm guessing not all of them have yet clicked thumbs up. Happy Tom has arrived and says, I just purchased a bunch of Wyndham points for my family's trip to Crete. Sweet deal. Awesome. Happy Tom, I appreciate that. I would love to know if you got them for that same rate that was showing I think it was 0.72. Did you get 0.72 or did you get targeted for something other than that? And then the other thought that comes to my mind is going to Crete. I know Crete is an island in the Mediterranean that's kind of more wide than it is tall. I think it's just south of Greece. And if you are someone that follows the Bible, or you're a Christian or Bible reader, you'll know that the Apostle Paul took a trip to Crete. And of course, we call them Cretians. Sometimes there's a derogatory nickname of Cretians. And I think there's even a verse that says something like, we all know Cretians are a bunch of idiots and revelers, but still be kind to them anyway. Something along those lines. That's a very loose translation. Texas Dog has arrived. Good morning, all. Coffee cup. And says, what cards do you Dugroz diehards use to pay Doug? I use my AMED BBP. That's probably supposed to be Amex, Blue Business Plus. I've used that before. Right now, for like if I'm giving someone a super chat or a subscription, I'm using my Hilton Surpass card, which is 4 points per dollar. That's not great, but it's something to put on the card so that Amex sees it's active and maybe makes me slightly less likely to go into pop-up jail. Rodrigo Mendez has arrived. Hi, Rodrigo. How you doing? A big-time diehard. I still haven't heard anything on CSR's 10X on Lyft rides ending in like 2 days. I guess it's officially ending. I know Matt Clausen commented on that, but unfortunately, I have nothing to offer. Amex KMB has arrived. Yuri says, Paul traveled from Israel to Crete. To the best of my knowledge, yes. I don't know if he went there on one of his missionary journeys or just knew about them via reputation. Sorry, I can't offer more insight at this moment. If anybody has a clarification, throw it on. Next Dugroz data point. This is a follow-up regarding my PayPal debit card that I've been using. And we've just got a few different purchases here. We got Taco Bell, a place called Mullet's, couple Mexican restaurants. We got a Taco John's. If you see an Apple Cash, that's just my friend Brian reimbursing me. So yeah, just to mention that I decided to use my PayPal debit card, which shows right here, for dining this month. And I think I'm going to keep doing that. It's working really well for a couple reasons. First of all, it's 5% cash back on the category you choose. And I believe it's up to $1,000 a month is the maximum. So I had kind of a mental budget of $500 a month for dining, but I didn't know if I'd really been keeping it or not. So this is helping me think about it a little bit more. So I'm noticing as the month goes down, my $500 is lowering, and then I'll auto reload $500 onto it. So if you're part of the Dave Ramsey crowd or just a little bit attracted to that, obviously we're probably not fully on board or you wouldn't be here listening. But if you're frugal and like budgeting and those kind of things, and you maybe fell off the budget wagon just a little bit like I do, that could be a great way to get back on, because dining was the category where I was afraid I was overspending. I've still got something like $179 roughly left to go this month. So we'll go out to eat today with my boys and maybe my friend Brian and have plenty left over. And then I decided whatever's left over at the end of the month, under $500, whatever the difference between actual and $500 is, I will reward myself and put that into my long-term savings account, sort of like an emergency / slush fund, and earn some interest on that with the folks at Charles Schwab. I'll give Chuck the trust to take care of that. And then also just a picture here showing that I have 1,900 points, which is worth $19 and change in cash back. I guess I'll probably redeem that at the end of the quarter, at the end of the month. You know, $25 a month, which is 5% times 500, isn't going to get me rich or anything. But hey, that's money that I can use on one of my RIP trips to do something I want to do. Let's see. We've got a lot of biblical scholars on board here. First of all, Don Kim's just saying hi. Reward Master says the Dugroz Standard Version, DSV. That's right. I'm going to make my own translation. Texas Dog says, Paul wrote several letters from various lands while being taken to Rome for his trial and eventual execution. Thank you. And TM Cowling says, if I remember correctly, he went to Crete when he was being sent to Rome. That sounds right. You know, looking at the chart on the wall in 5th grade Sunday school, you know, there's lines going from the Holy Land over here, and he went to Cyprus, and he went to Crete, and he went to Malta, and then on to 3 taverns, and then Rome. Rodrigo, or Yuri is answering Rodrigo. It seems that all Chase lift multipliers of 5 to 10x are ending. David Williams says PayPal debit is nice. I'm enjoying the 5% at Walmart. Right now, we're doing our Walmart purchases on my wife's Blue Business Cash because we're 0%ing it. We're kind of, you know, money is fungible. So the money we would spend on that is at 0% locked in. Then we're using that money to pay for some other things. So it's helping spread out some expenses. But who knows? Maybe in 3 to 6 months, I'll start doing it as well. And Yuri points out 5% at Costco and Target too. How long do you think it'll last? I can't imagine it's going to last forever, but who knows? Texas Dog says, as a Roman citizen, Paul had the right to a trial in Rome. MR says, I am an artistic cheapskate. I am a Dave Ramsey adjacent. I get what you mean by that. I'm like an adjacent. If there's something under adjacent, that's what I am. Like, I hear a few good things over there. I'll pay attention now and then. What credit card should we use for Lyft once the Chase 5 and 10X ends? Asks Gold Homer. You know, other than my trip to Washington, D.C. last summer, I don't use ride shares much. I have a little here and there. In fact, before that trip, I had used rideshare twice ever in my life. Once in Sweden to get to the airport early in the morning, and once just to reposition within the Des Moines area when I was trying to sell my dad's car and didn't have the ability to drive 2 cars at once. Rodrigo says, are you? I'm not sure. There's probably more to that statement. TM says PayPal debit also gets 5% at Winco, which does not accept credit cards. I don't know what Winco is. Probably regional, but sounds awesome. Mike Newland says PayPal debit card is great for Costco. Any money I don't use goes into the PayPal debit high yield savings account until I need money back on the card. That makes sense. I should start doing that too. Maybe next month I'll start doing that. Kirby references his favorite board game, Journeys of Paul. It probably takes 3 to 4 hours to play, but I was a big winner during summer Bible camp back in the day. Awesome. And let's see. That's an answer to someone else's question. I won the 6th grade church dodgeball MVP trophy, so I'm kind of a big deal also. The best card after that, I'm guessing, is Built. This is Rodrigo referencing what happens when Lyft 5 and 10X goes away. It is a decent multiplier, and you get a $5 Lyft credit after a few rides. Yuri SBU has arrived, not to be confused with Yuri G. How you doing, Yuri? Good morning, Doug. How many credit cards on average do you take with you on an international trip in the European Union? Well, Yuri, I have a very limited data point. I've only gone once ever, once to the United Kingdom and once to Sweden. So on that trip, I probably took 4 or 5 cards to actually use, and then maybe another 6 or 7 backups / I'm paranoid / specific use case. So like when we go back this summer, I'll need my Aeroplan card and my wife's Aeroplan card for doing pay yourself back stuff. I'll probably bump up or re-upgrade to the Capital One Venture X and have that as kind of my everywhere card. And then US Bank Altitude Reserve will live on my phone. So probably just those 4 for the major ones. I'll bring a Hilton card for when we're staying at Hilton's. So I'm going to try to get it down to more like 5 and kind of keep it there. I'm also thinking I'm not really going to worry a truckload about like category bonuses. I know some people are like, oh, when you travel overseas, you got to have, the Capital One Duo because you got to go from 2x to 3x with your saver when you're dining or buying groceries. Well, we probably won't be buying a lot of groceries. We'll be dining a little bit. So I think my strategy will just be That's not a word. My strategy will probably just be if they take tap to pay, I'll use my Altitude Reserve. And if not, I'll use the Capital One Venture X, because really the difference between 2x and 3x is 1x. Even if we spend $1,000, we're talking like I lose out on 1,000 points. That's like $10. Oh, well, I'll take the convenience factor. But hey, that's a good thought-provoking question. Thank you, Yuri. Appreciate that. Gold Homer says maybe the ink preferred for Lyft at 3x. Back to Wyndham purchases. Happy Tom says, I think it was 0.72 cents per point for purchases. Sorry for the late response. That's okay. David Williams says a good targeted Marriott deal he got. Stay 2 nights and get 2 $35K free night certificates. I don't know why my tongue stopped working all of a sudden. They expire 6 months, can stay 1 night at a time. That is pretty good, especially if you can find a really cheap one. Yan Lau's on board. Happy to see you this morning, Yan. Citi Rewards Plus definitely has its niche cases. I used it for public transit in Asia, making the less than a quarter ride almost free. Works for cheap rideshare / groceries that cost less than $1 as well. Yep, that makes sense. If you've got, Asian public transit that costs 25 cents, you're still getting 10 points. So, you don't want to really use your Rewards Plus unless it's something less than $5, because $5 rounded up to 10 would be 10 points would be the same as 2%. There's all kinds of 2% cash cards. So you want to really use it on those small purchases. The only problem is you're not going to earn a lot of points, 10 points at a time. But if you're using it, if you already have it anyway, it doesn't hurt anything. Oh, we got some other people talking about Lyft, and I'm gonna let that go for a little while here and move on to something else. Thank you. Happy Tom says, Wells Fargo question. I was told yesterday in branch that the points from the autograph can be redeemed by 1 cent by the ATM or 1.5 cents for travel. There's no way that's accurate, right? I would put the odds of that being wrong at about 85 to 90%. Autograph can be redeemed for 1 cent per point. Whether or not you can do it in an ATM, I don't know, because you can just put it in your checking account. But the bigger question is that 1.5 cents for travel. Now, I have the grandfathered Visa signature card, also known as the Golden Ponies card. And that one does actually bump you up to 1.5 on flights only through their portal. So maybe this is someone that was getting two different products conflated. And since that card is grandfathered, you're probably out of luck unless you can product change to it. I don't know anyone that's tried. So Wells Fargo is known for their honest customer service, says Cold Homer. I don't think they're trying to deceive you. They probably just don't know any better. And I say this as a former Wells Fargo employee. The Rewards Plus has FTF, foreign transaction fees. I did not know that. MR says, the good thing about Europe, literally every restaurant takes cards, has tap to pay, but very low Apple Pay adoption, unfortunately. Would that matter? Like because I have an iPhone, so if I'm trying to pay with my USB AR, which is saved in Apple Pay, if they have the wireless icon, my thought is it always worked, whether or not it's called Apple Pay. But somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Juan Garcia says, good morning, Doug and everyone. Texas Dog says, I bring both Visa and MasterCard. Some places only take a MasterCard. Yeah, plus there's always this like paranoia of what if the entire Visa network went down or something. Thank you. You read my mind. If there's tap to pay, then any mobile will work. Juan Garcia said, I inquired about changing my AA Advantage card, and the rep told me the only option would be another AA Advantage card or an everyday Costco Visa. It seems like product changes to a custom cash or double cash card are over. Boo. K-Man says, Wells Fargo points are valued at 1.6 or 1.5 cents a point. Maybe that's what they meant. I doubt it. I don't think a customer service rep would probably have any clue what point valuations are based on. They wouldn't be able to go out and read the points guy or frequent miler and figure out reasonable redemption rates. You should try buying groceries in Romania with Apple Pay and see how much luck you have then. I guess it must be a your mileage may vary thing. I know our one time in Europe, I did use my Altitude Reserve tap to pay a couple times and it worked fine, but I didn't really pay attention to whether or not they specifically took Apple Pay or if it was just the generic tap to pay icon. Yuri G says, I did with Samsung Pay everywhere. There was no place where it didn't work. Vincent says, I can only think of a handful of times I had to break out the card during my last few trips to Europe. The vast majority of my spend was on Apple Pay. Thank you for being here, by the way, Vincent. He's a big-time diehard. And, KC Man was a diehard too. Sorry, I left that out. Ian says, what does the everyday Costco Visa earn? I don't know. And Happy Tom says, apparently Wells Fargo Rewards helpline is open right now. Awesome. Okay, where were we? We talked about the PayPal card. Next data point here. This is a personal data point again. I mentioned last week that I did a trick-a-roo. I bought a Delta gift card. I had a little bit of a hard time with that because it takes about 40 hours to activate in my case, but it did eventually activate. And Delta is the preferred airlines for Player 2 on her Business Platinum card. And I'd said there is a known trick out there where if Delta is your airline of choice, you can make a purchase where some of it goes on the gift card and the remainder goes on your Business Platinum. And as long as it's roughly $199 or less, it will trigger the airline incidental credit, even though it's not an incidental. You're actually purchasing airfare. And voila, sure enough, that's what happened. So on March 20th, I made that purchase with Delta, $130.19. And 6 days later, on March 26th, the airline fee reimbursement posted $130.19. So we have a positive data point there. Just tuck that away. Remind me to go on Frequent Miler and share that, what works where, so that others can benefit from that. And just in case you didn't know about that trick, thought it was worth sharing. Ian says to Tom, it's a great weekend to buy Golden Store if you have any inventory where you live. $85 profit per bar at 4%. Yan Lao says, is the PayPal debit card best for Costco shopping now if you value transferable points at no more than 2 cents per point? Could be. The thing is, you can only pick one category. If you had a 2-player household, maybe you get 2 of them and double that up. You know, do you spend more than $500 a month at Costco? You'd have to keep track and all that kind of stuff. But I'll allow it. I'll definitely allow it. MR says, whenever I was overseas, I always had my Citi Premier and Altitude Connect just in case I couldn't use Apple Pay. Yeah, I'll definitely have a no foreign transaction fee backup ready to go. All right. Someone, I think it was Andrew. No, I don't remember who it was. Someone asked me about Hilton and what to do, any suggestions on how to use the credits before they run out. Let me see if I can find that here because I want to give credit where credit's due. I'm not finding it. I'm so sorry. It was somebody who I don't think has commented before, or at least not much before. Sorry, lost it. Regardless, let's go to a data point that discusses that directly, and I need to give a hat tip to channel member Ron B. Ron B texted me or messaged me through the Anthony Venture Discord not too long ago and says, good news, I received my $50 credit today on the Hilton Surpass card about 10 days after the charge posted. So it worked out for me using the Hilton gift card and my Surpass to pay $50 each and put the remainder on my Aspire card. So just for context, Ron went to a Hilton property, and it was more than $100 that he had to pay. And he had a Hilton gift card, $50. They knew how to use it, thankfully, asked him to put it on that. And I think that was one of those things where he didn't even say it's a gift card. He's just like, I want to put $50 on this card, tap or swipe, or maybe put it on his phone and tapped. I think that's what it was. He saved it on Apple Pay and tapped. And then he said, now I want to use a different card, paid with the Surpass. And then he put the balance on the Aspire and got both of those $50. The gift card was used up and $50 Surpass posted. So hat tip to him for sharing that with us. And then even more than that, this is also hat tip to Ron B, because he shared that the Hilton gift card website has changed what it looks like a little bit. And this is kind of hard to read. I apologize, but I'll read it to you. About a week ago, well, whenever 3/22 was, a little more than a week ago. No, that was exactly 1 week ago. Dear Hilton gift card purchasing consumer, due to an unseen inventory of Hilton gift cards, RPG has been instructed to temporarily suspend the sale of Hilton cards until inventory is replenished by the Hilton program management team. We are expecting replenished inventory to be available within the next 8 weeks. We will work closely. We apologize, blah, blah, blah. Relevant parties resolve this shortage as expediently as possible. Now, that's a little bit different than it was when it first came up back in January. Thankfully, I got, no, I didn't get any in January. That was in December. I'm going to talk about what I've done this quarter. It used to just say something like, we're out of stock right now. Now it's more like, yes, we'll get this back within 8 weeks. So we can't use the gift card trick by March 31st. So we got to think of some other things to do. Let's talk those things over. So I did a couple things earlier this week. First half of this week, I was in Des Moines, downtown Des Moines, Iowa, and I swung by a Hilton restaurant, and it was inside of a Hilton, and just walked up and ordered something for my lunch and ate it right there. And I thought, you know what? I don't have any Hilton stays planned. It's use it or lose it. Might as well use it. Got this particular hamburger right here, which was pretty good. Not the best I've ever had, but I like a little bit of pink, so that's good. And the waitress asked me right up front, do you want any ketchup or ranch? And I'm like, yes, please, both. So anybody who goes out of their way to offer ranch to dip my fries in and maybe put a little bit of on my burger too, good waitress. It wasn't very busy. There was like maybe 6 people in the whole establishment. So the bartender was also the server, that kind of thing. So I did that, and that came out to exactly $30 with tip. kind of overpriced. I mean, frankly, it should be like $20 including tip. But again, it was a use it or lose it scenario. And then a little later in the week, I did this. I don't know if I can get this to pull up or not. I can't. I thought maybe I could show you a video, but I'm not able to. Sorry. I swung by a Home to Suites, not too terribly far from where I live. And this is one of those where they have two different Hiltons in the same property. One side is Home to Suites, one side is True by Hilton. And honestly, I don't even know if it's two different sides or just kind of the way they do it, but it's a Hilton regardless. And I raided the pantry because, again, use or lose it. What else am I going to do? And here's what I bought. I bought some Lunchables and a Star-Kissed lunch to go thing. 9 Hot Pockets. I know Hot Pockets. A thing of Sun Chips, 4 candy bars. I like Kit Kat and Twix. So, I mean, this is ridiculously overpriced. $3 for a candy bar. Can't see the price tag on that. $3 for that Hot Pocket. $4 for that Hot Pocket. Each Lunchable was, I think, $5. Yeah, that says 5. $5 for Lunchables. So what I did was, remember, I'd spent $30 on my Surpass. So the 4 Lunchables were $5 each. That was $20. So I put this on my Surpass. And then this came out to exactly $50. My wife has the Business Platinum, which now has the $50 Hilton quarterly credit. So these went on my wife's Business Platinum. So $50 there. I got the exact perfect amount. I got $100 at Hilton's through some non-traditional means. By the way, remember, I think Lunchables came out when I was in around 6th, 7th grade. Everybody thought they were so great. They're not. They're kind of pathetic. I mean, it tastes good, but like, look at that. That's what you get for $5. Yes, they are overpriced at Hilton, but there's literally 2 generic Oreos and then enough to make 7 little cracker sandwiches. 7 slices of ham, 7 slices of cheese, 7 crackers. So I ate one of those for lunch. That wasn't a lunch. That was like a snack. Maybe if you're like 3rd grade and down, it counts as lunch, but I digress. Give me your favorite Lunchables story in the comment section. So here's to show you what is pending now. I have not yet received the credit. So there's the True by Hilton, $20. The big sign out front says Home to Suites, but it registers a True. Hey, as long as it's a Hilton. And then this is that restaurant inside a Hilton that I ate at, $30. So I've got $50 queued up and ready to go. Hopefully everything comes through just fine on the Surpass. And then on my wife's Business Platinum, True by Hilton, $50 worth of Hot Pockets and Lunchables, also queued up and ready to go. Just waiting for the whatever to happen, the credit to happen. And since I got it in by the end of the quarter, we're good. So to the person that asked how I'm using the credit now that I can't do gift cards, I'm not planning on doing this in the future because I should be able to use it easily next quarter because we'll be in Europe. I think we'll be in Europe, June, July. I'll have to double check on that. But I think we'll have a good use case, but at least I have the restaurant in my back pocket now and I can do that a little more often. I had said something like there's only one Hilton in downtown Des Moines. There's not. There's actually 2 or 3, depending on how you define downtown. So you do have some options there for those of you who are local. All right, I'm way behind on comments, so now I got to catch up here. Yuri G says there's no difference between Apple or any other mobile pay. If NFC is enabled, then all of them work. Okay. Ian says, if you tell me what state, and I can tell you how many stores have inventory. Okay. We'll let that go as a side conversation there. Mojo is on board. Sorry, I'm late. That's okay. Better late than never. Filmo said, I shall just let my Hilton credit expire this quarter. I will not give Amex the satisfaction of seeing me drive all around town. You only have to drive to one Hilton, Filmo. Just make 4 or 5 separate purchases of Hot Pockets. David says $5 Lunchable. Lol. Ian is entertained as well. Rewards Master notices that it is a healthy use of Hilton credits. Hot Pockets. Hot Pockets. Gold Homer. Let's pretend we're on the phone with Hilton customer service. So what did I get for a $695 annual fee, Amex? Hot Pockets and Lunchables? Nothing says luxury like Hot Pockets and Lunchables. Texas Dog says, I got to go. I'll watch the rest of the show later. And Boomaluma, $1.99 super chat. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you, Texas Dog. I appreciate your patronage, and thank you for being a diehard. 69 people on board. Please click thumbs up if you've not yet done so. Jazz Fan 27 is here, and I don't think I've seen you before, Jazz Fan. Maybe I saw one of your comments, but not live. And he or she says, Hot Pockets. I'm not sure if it's the actual like 80s, 90s jingle you're thinking of or Jim Gaffigan imitating it, but I'll take either. Filmo says, I do like a good Hot Pocket, though. I mean, they're hideously overpriced. When I laid out my spread of things that I bought, I looked it over and thought like, okay, if I'd bought this at a grocery store, I probably would have valued this at half, like around $35 maybe. So when I do my internal calculations, because I keep my numbers super tight, like when I get statement credits for things and they are well earned to offset the annual fee, I'll put it in a spreadsheet, and that's how I know how much money I need to move from my personal budget to my travel savings account. I will count this as $35. Yuri SBU says, on the Home to Suites pick mystery resolved, or says, oh, the Home to Suites picture mystery resolved. I thought you were making a man cave to watch March Madness or something. Yeah, giving away the lead just a little early here, but there was a picture that looked something like this on my community tab. You're supposed to guess where it was taken, and now you know. I'll come back to that a little later, though. Next, Dugroz data point here. Oh, this is a personal data point, kind of hard to see. Let me expand that. I'm doing okay on YouTube, making close to $300 every month. And I just noted that this month, March so far, I have made $384. I have never cleared $400 in a month. So if you're feeling generous and want to help push me over the top, I would certainly take a super chat. I know some of you have given them already, but they'll go, it'll really help feed my ego extra good this month. And I would really appreciate it. So far, we've gotten 5, 2, 7, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, around $11. And I don't know if you know this, but YouTube actually takes about 30% of that. So probably $5-ish. So I need to get a little more here. I need to get about another $15, $20 to clear that hurdle before the end of the month. And I do really appreciate everyone who gives super chats or pays a monthly membership. That really helps out. Everything you do, 80% of it goes back into the channel, and I'll use it for like upgrading StreamYard to the professional version, something like that. Hopefully I can figure out how to make my screen widescreen. And I will also use 20% for my family budget because, hey, I spend all this time on it. My family deserves to get a little something out of it. Rodrigo asks if I take Amex. I do. Yes, actually, because I know I've used my Hilton Surpass. Hey, speaking of memberships, Seabass has joined. Seabass just became a YouTube member. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you so much for your patronage, Seabass. And if I'm just going from memory, although I'm starting to lose track, I think maybe you were a member before, so this might have been a rejoin situation. I really appreciate that. That's just as good as a $3 super chat. Rodrigo Mendez says, are you jumping on the new and innovative Refresh United cards? I'm not. I looked through them real quickly and easily, watched one of Matt Clausen's videos. And if you're someone who's going to fly United a lot, I think it can make sense. I just need to stay a free agent, though. Now, if there was a United Lounge in Des Moines, Iowa, I might, but it just doesn't really suit me. It's better just to remain a free agent in my case. Hey, Vincent Pascal drops $1.99. Boom. Thank you, Vincent. Also a big time diehard. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you so much, Vincent. And Ian M comes through as well. $4.99. Says, just for the fact that you share your numbers, here's some money. I appreciate that. It's very interesting to see. Wow. Thank you so much. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you, Ian. I appreciate that. Nicholas Elias says, any news on the one key product change with Wells Fargo? No, not yet, because it's not her 1-year anniversary yet. I think I have to make it till May, June, something like that. Then I'll give it a shot, see how that goes. Oh, wow, we've got more generosity coming through. Seabass has gifted 5 Dugroz Reports memberships. That's just as good as a $15 super chat. Thank you, Seabass. Super generous. Santa Claus mode. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. Keep clicking thumbs up. And then MR gives $9.99. Wow. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate that. You're more enjoyable than an 80s Saturday morning cartoon. Awesome. Thank you, MR. I really appreciate that. Celebrate, celebrate. I don't know, though. I mean, 80s Saturday morning cartoons were pretty great. Ghostbusters, Heathcliff, Transformers, although I think Transformers was more like afternoons. In fact, there was a regional show, I think it was based out of Chicago, called The Bozo Show. Bozo was a clown, and he would show little snippets of cartoons during the program. One of them was Transformers. If you've ever seen Krusty the Clown from The Simpsons and his show, I think it's loosely based on that. It's based on Bozo. Allie's here. Glad to be here. I'm glad to have you on board, Allie. And Mike from LA says the Quest card's looking much more tempting now. Not gonna lie. I get that. Gold Homer says, any news on if you can use Aeroplan family pooling sharing with pay yourself back? That's a great question, Gold Homer. And I'll say the same thing I've been saying for a while. To the best of my knowledge, there's nothing that would prevent that. I don't think there's a system issue that would not cause it. The only question would be if Aeroplan wouldn't like it, because technically you're only supposed to use points that you've moved over from Chase or earned on Aeroplan's card or Aeroplan itself. So whether or not they would consider it funny business, I would personally feel comfortable doing it because, you know, I'm going to make sure my wife is only moving in. Excuse me. I'm going to make sure my wife is only moving in points from Chase also. So I think it meets the spirit of the rule. So I would be totally comfortable with it. But as always, do your own research. And hey, look, Xavier also $9.99. Thank you, Xavier. Met him down in New Orleans, one of my most diehards. Thank you, Xavier. I really appreciate it. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you. But not the 90s. DuckTales was great, and that started in like 88 or 89 and continued into the 90s. So I'll give a lot of props to DuckTales, Chippendales Rescue Rangers, Count Duckula, which was on Nickelodeon. Any of those Disney afternoon ones were pretty good. MR says, I've lived in Illinois my whole life. This show is much better than the grand prize game. But if you go to completion, can you get a brand new crisp $50 bill or a Schwinn bicycle? Rodrigo says, if Chase implemented family language on their cards or pop-up jail, how damaging would that be to us? I don't even know how they would do family language because, like, with Amex, you know, in theory, you could have a gold and a green and a platy. So, like, you can have all three. Whereas, like, with Chase, you know, they have a one Sapphire rule. So it would only be problematic, like, on the business cards. Like, if you had to get a Chase Ink Cash or an unlimited before getting the Ink Preferred, that kind of thing. So I think it would be 25% damaging for those of us who do this a lot, the maximizers. For normal people, it wouldn't really matter. So I would say there'd be a little bit of damage. Not a lot, but a little bit. Thank you for asking. Yuri G says, Quest has no club passes. Vincent says, 90s Nickelodeon was where it's at. Yeah, and even, I don't remember if it's 90s or 80s, but the show, You Can't Do That on Television, that's where green slime originated. If you said the word water, water fell on your head. If you said, I don't know, green slime would fall on your head. And I remember there was this part where there's this super crusty, like, dad who would smoke and stuff. And one time, the son, Alistair, said, Dad, you always say smoking's bad for your health. And he said something like, I said smoking's bad for your health. I didn't say it was bad for my health. Hopefully I don't get demonetized for mentioning that. That would never fly nowadays. Rewards Master gives $1.99. Thank you, Rewards Master. Celebrate, celebrate. I appreciate your patronage. Filmo says, I would love Chase pop-up for sure. You know if you're approved, and it's a great feature. I guess there's the bright side. Yeah, thanks, Filmo. Hey, David William brings in $3. Knocks it out of the park. Celebrate. Thank you. Appreciate that. Ian is nostalgic for Tailspin, DuckTales, and Doug. You don't know how many times between Doug came out when I was in 7th or 8th grade, and I think the character was in 7th grader. So you don't know how many times I heard Flying Ryan just made it in. Hi, everybody. And Ian M says, get rid of 524 and give me pop-up jail. That'd be a fair trade. 90s Nick, Legends of the Hidden Temple and Guts. I don't even know what Guts is. I know what Legend of the Hidden Temple is. That was a game show where you run through like a Forbidden Bridge type thing. Scary temple guardians and that kind of stuff. Enough nostalgia. Let's move along here. Okay, one more Dugroz data point. This one's of a personal nature. Really nothing to do with points and miles. Just wanted to call out Burger King, and it's not the good kind of call out. So our electricity went out last Sunday for about 2 hours right when my wife was going to make lunch. So with an inability to use the oven or crock pot, we went to Burger King instead. And you know what I ordered? I ordered a Whopper, and that's what I got. A Whopper with no onion, but everything else. And I know scale maybe doesn't show it, but this is a single patty. This is the hamburger, and it had no topping. So my question is, who's out there that ordered a plain hamburger with no toppings, some 80-year-old grandma, and got a Whopper instead? Shame on you, Burger King in the greater Des Moines area. I did do a survey that said, would you like to be contacted about your experience? And I said, yes. No one has contacted me yet. Vincent reminds us that Guts was a game show, a more intense version of Double Dare, where you climbed the Aggro Crag, which is a mountain. I think that was maybe not completely after my time, but maybe the latter part of high school, going into like college. I finished high school in 97, if that helps give a point of reference. Yuri BSU says Scrooge McDuck was cash and commodities, never figured out a credit card game. He should have, man. Think of the points he would have made. But I suppose much like Warren Buffett, once you hit a certain level of wealth, you don't really care about your rewards. You just pay for stuff. I think there's a YouTuber out there one time who did a video that was like, if Scrooge McDuck was real, how much money would he have? And it was like 5 times as much as the actual world's wealthiest man, because not only did he have his money bin, but he also owned like several companies. I still have that once in a while. Still have the Doug theme song. Did you use your Walmart Plus benefit on that BK order? I did not. I completely forgot about that. I actually don't have Walmart Plus anymore because I let my Business Gold expire. Do they have Walmart Plus on the Business Platinum? If so, I might need to look into that. Guts. Are you receiving your free Whopper every quarter with Walmart Plus? Yes, I am not, but I think the first video of yours I ever watched, Reward Master, was your Burger King rewards program. I know I should, but I don't really do the rewards programs. I think I technically have the Taco Bell app on my phone, and I eat there probably 3 times a month. I don't know. I just don't like the hassle. Somebody talk me into it or out of it or whatever. All right. And that brings us to the end of the Dugroz data points. I'm going to pull a audible here, and we're going to actually take our bathroom break early. I'm going to do it before the main event because I got to go, and it's after 10:30. So please hang in there. What you're going to be allowed to hear is some really great copyright-free music. I did notice there was a song I ran across recorded by the Carpenters back in the 70s called Intermission. It's about 22 seconds long, and it goes like this. We'll be right back. And it's all harmonized, so it's way more complex than that. After we go to the bathroom. And I would love to use it, but it's copyrighted, so it'd give me a copyright strike. So let's listen to Into Space. Please stay on board for about 2 minutes. I'll be right back. I got to refill my water. Okay. How was that copyright-free music? I'm curious, does anyone else go to the bathroom during the biology break, or is it just me? We are going to dive right in now to the theme of the day, because I don't want to have anybody leave and think he's not doing content. Got to find the right button. There it is. Okay, today's theme of the day is 12 sub niches for credit card content creators. I think this will be a fun one. So, a lot of interaction. Give me lots of feedback on this. I'm thinking like, let's say that you are someone who's on YouTube, like, oh, I don't know, Dugroz reports. Or maybe you want to get into YouTube, or you're a small-time content creator with under 500 subs. Yes, I'd have a channel about credit card rewards, points, miles, etc. But can we get more specific than that? Because like a niche would be credit card rewards, a sub niche would be something even more specific. Like if you were like, I only use Wells Fargo cards, that's your credit card creator niche. So something along those lines. Bear with me, folks. I'm getting comfortable. Okay. And I will briefly mention, MR said the Carpenters nail it every time. They sure do. Two best female vocalists of all time, Karen Carpenter and Judith Durham from The Seekers. All right, let's move on here. 12 sub niches for credit card content creators. What was my inspiration for this? Well, I got to give a hat tip to a content creator named Kaylee June. And this is a picture of her channel right up here. And this is a picture of the video that inspired me. She made a video. It's only got 215 views, but I think you should watch it if you have any aspirations whatsoever, called How to Find Your Perfect Niche as a Content Creator. And she has two other much larger channels about fashion photography and that kind of stuff. But this channel, she just talks about being a creator and like how to do it full time and that kind of stuff. So lots of inspiration for someone who wants to be like her, obviously a different niche. But I really like that video, and there's a link to it down below. So go ahead and check that out. See if you like it. If you like her channel or you have any sort of creative impulses, subscribe to her. I got to give a disclaimer here. We've got a little robot reading a book. You know what that means? Yep, I used AI to help me do this topic. Now, when I say I used AI, all the graphic design was done by yours truly. As you can tell, it's very high quality. The clip art selection was all me. What I did was I went to Meta on Facebook, their AI chatbot, and just asked it a question to get some inspiration, basically. So I had to use AI for partial inspiration. So some of the topics they came up with, what I told AI was, I'm trying to think of some very specific niches in the world of credit cards, points, miles, and cash back for a relatively new content creator. Can you help me think of about 10 to 20 niches? So of the 12 that I chose, I think about 8 of them were inspired by AI. 4 I just came up with off the top of my head. So that's a good use for AI, I think. I'm going to pause for just a moment here. I got like a hair in my mouth somehow when I refilled my water. Bear with me. I realize that is some low quality video there. I apologize. Hopefully it's not bothering me too much more. I need a cough drop or something like that. Here, I've got an antacid tablet. Maybe if I eat that, it'll wash it down. Thanks for bearing with me. Yes, I'm definitely not AI. I'm much too real. What's my niche anyhow? Well, here's what we know about my channel, at least in part. Somehow it involves using the niche credit cards like the US Bank Altitude Reserve and the Aeroplan card I don't always go for just the really well-known ones like the Venture X and the CSR and the MX Platinum. So somehow using those for some sort of value that's a little outside the box has something to do with my niche. Beautiful outdoor things like lakes, waterfalls, rivers, rapids, forests, that kind of stuff. I really like. That includes like graveyards, monuments, that kind of stuff. Family is involved, and not just eating with my family on vacation, but that's part of it. So family travel is part of my niche. Speaking of monuments, obscure places that aren't necessarily your traditional, let's go to the Maldives, let's go to London, let's go to France, let's see Sally's underpants. Just the normal guy stuff, like the north end of Highway 45 and on Ontonagon, Michigan. Pork chops. Of course, pork chops are an important part of what I do, or just food in general, kind of your down home type food. And then making sure the final result is always zero. So figuring out how much my trip cost, offsetting credits, transferring from my travel account, and making sure my travel is actually free. Anyone who's new on board, when I say I travel for free, I mean it. It really is free. I make it free sometimes because I have to cash out points or use cash back I got from bank account bonuses to help supplement trips. Like this one was, I don't even remember what this trip was, but $55 I transferred out of my cash savings account because I keep family budget expenses and points, miles, and travel very, very separate. So what is my niche? It's that, whatever you call that. All right, here we go. We're pushing ahead on the tracks here. We've got a rental car. We're ready to move ahead. I better catch up with some comments first, though, because I am way behind on comments. Where we talked about Scrooge McDuck and his wealth. Rewards Master asked me about the Whopper and also said the Upside app gives you about 15% on Taco Bell. How do you do that? I guess you just have to probably link it to your credit card, huh? I should do that because if I can use like just Upside, which I already have for more than one restaurant, that's less annoying than like having one for every restaurant. Do you have a standard order at Taco Bell? The grilled burrito with steak, light on the chipotle sauce, is probably my favorite, but I often just fall for whatever the cheap box is for less than $10. Juan Garcia says, I only use my custom cash for gas. I think we're thinking ahead to like niches and those kind of thing. Andrew says, riches are in the niches. Yep, that's true. I will say, I used to have a YouTube channel. It's now called Driving with Dugroz, which I'm trying to gradually turn into like a driving around and filming myself type channel. Not about points and miles, but they kind of go hand in hand. That channel used to be about mattress reviews. And what I found was that like if a mattress was too popular, if it wasn't niche enough, everyone had done a video and people only watched the 3 most popular videos. So like if you're reviewing a Casper mattress and everybody else does, it's not niche enough. But if you're so niche, like one specific mattress manufactured in Grinnell, Iowa, nobody will watch it. So you have to shoot for niche enough to have a little bit of a corner on the market, but not so niche that you've only got like 10 followers. Juan Garcia says he uses USBR for Costco and warehouse purchases. Filmo says the best niche ever, all golden ponies all the time. You know, Filmo, I haven't actually used that card in a long time. I think I probably need to, though. Mike from LA says, your niche is optimizing domestic travel, my man. And that's a good way to describe it. Dugroz here with Dugroz Reports, optimizing domestic travel to find epic value. Kid Cat 37 says, for a fellow national park and off the beaten path domestic traveler, international travels for mom and dad, not the family. LOL. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Kid Cat. Celebrate. Woo! Nailed it. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Thank you for your patronage. Yuri G says, I was lucky enough to get 10 custom caches before they tightened the rules. I think we all know about your 10 custom caches, Yuri, but that's awesome. That's awesome. Not my cup of tea, but it is still awesome. Kid Cat also says, at least for now, and I think this is a reference to not taking the kids on international travels. At least for now. I'm not paying for a business class seat for someone that won't remember in 2 years once they hit 5 and up. I get that. Reward Match says, upload receipts or click a button upside to text your @Taco Bell through your location. Oh, interesting. Brian Jack says, small batch mattresses. Very small batch. I did one time run across a mattress that was handmade, like 100% handmade by some fancy pants company in England that said, like, we've been hand making mattresses for hundreds of years. And it was $20,000. $20,000. Flying Ryan said, I attempted a car repair video and for some reason it blew up 2 years after I was trying because I was the only one showing how to replace the air filter on that particular car. Niche. Yeah, I see that. Niche is important. Yeah, it's like, have you ever tried to find something like super specific? Like, I need to replace the filter on a Model 3XJ97 dishwasher from the 80s. And the best video with like 1 million views is some like grandpa just holding his phone in one hand while filming. And it's like terrible audio. It's like, hey guys, I'm going to show you how to change the filter on your 7XJ dishwasher from 1984. Sorry, I can only use one hand, so I'm going to be kind of slow here. And like, that's the whole video. But it's like super helpful because it's the only one, or at least the best one. And grandpas and dads are good at that stuff. So excellent. All right, back to the video, or the topic, I should say. Here we go. I have some honorable mentions here. So these are sub niches that you could get into. And if you just want to see these, by all means, let me know. The first honorable mention is military members, represented by this very upstanding member of the Navy here. I don't even know if that's the American Navy or some other Navy. I couldn't find hardly any like copyright-free pictures. I don't know if there's something about like you're not allowed to photograph the U.S. military. Anyway, let me know. The reason I didn't do a topic specifically on military members is just because I don't know anything about it. I'm not in the military, never have been. No one in my immediate family is. I do have an uncle that served in Korea and a great uncle who was actually a vice admiral between Korea and Vietnam, interestingly enough. Last name Shea, the same as my relative from many years ago. College students is one. That's what this middle picture represents. Those are some college students having a grand old time. I hesitate a little because it's like, if you make a channel just for college students using credit cards, points, and miles, I'm just not sure if there's enough there, because after 4 years or 6 years or 8, if you're doing a doctorate, they'll outgrow your channel. So I could see like starting with a focus on college students, then if you are one or have been recently, after 4 to 7 years, kind of moving into more advanced topics. Digital nomads and freelancers. So this is a great one because there are people that work from home and travel and live everywhere on their digital nomancers, not to be confused with necromancers. Woo! Digital nomads or freelancers. The reason I'm not going to get into this one is I feel like this is already being addressed. There's people out there handling this niche pretty well. One is Jacob right here from Jacob's Points and Profits. He is a digital nomad, and him and his wife go all over the world and do cool stuff. And then he has his channel for that, the travel aspect, then a separate channel for the credit card, points, and miles. And that seems to work pretty well for him. And I know there's others, although I can't think of any off the top of my head right now. Let me know if you have a favorite digital nomad channel. Expats, expatriates, Americans living overseas. That could be interesting just because, it's like, can you apply for credit cards when you're living in Albania, but you're a U.S. citizen? Do you have to keep your home address? Are there security concerns? Like, is Citi constantly doing security alerts on you? I can think of lots of interesting things that could go with it, but I didn't want to take the time to build it up. I only have 2 hours on a Friday night to make this, that kind of thing. And then I thought of reaction videos. This seems kind of cheap. I've done like one ever. I think I reacted to a someone else's video. I can't remember his name. Young fella, should come to my mind. Anyway, I think you could make a whole channel just off credit card reaction videos. Like you react to Uncle Luke, you react to Ask Sebi, you react to Stan the Credit Frog or Dugroz reports. But I don't know. That feels kind of lame, at least a little bit. If it's here and there, it's okay. But if you had a whole channel of just that, I don't know that you get that much of a loyal following. Let me check my comments here. Catch 631 says, sorry, running errands, but dropped my like to boost and we'll catch the replay. Thank you. 68 people on board. I did lose about 10 people during the bathroom break. So if you're here, click thumbs up and that'll bring more people in. Jake T says, if I spent $20,000 on a mattress, I don't think I could get to sleep. Well, you should, because that's like what, $400 per night of sleep or something like that. Jake, you're a Dugroz diehard. Are you a new Dugroz diehard? Maybe Seabass gave you a membership. Let me know if that's the case. Xavier says, if you are given an APO address, that counts as a U.S. address. Does this apply to expats or military or both? APO is like a military base. Am I right? Somebody's trying to break in. Okay, that would make sense. Xavier was in the military in the past. I remember that. Thank you for your service. Xavier says, I had an overseas address, but for mailing and stuff, we had an APO/AE address we could use. So could order Amazon and everything else like normal. That APO address worked like our normal address. And Sean D is on board. So how you doing, Sean D, a big time diehard? We're going through ideas that I and artificial intelligence had for sub niches in the credit card community that people could start channels on. All right, let's go ahead and get to number one here. Number one is family travel. Now, admittedly, this overlaps with lots of us, myself included, but I think you could get even more niche. Most of us fall in like 2 or 3 sub niches, but you could really drill down into that. Up on the top right is a picture I took at the National Art Gallery in Washington, D.C. This is exactly how families should pose for pictures. This is John Singleton Copley's family portrait, his own family, drawn between 1776 and 1777. Was anything interesting going on during those years? I don't know. I think the guy at the top is the artist. This is like his dad and his kids and wife or something like that. If somebody recreated this picture, I would give you $5. And then the bottom picture is, speaking of family travel, my wife and one of my kids was looking dutifully at the artwork there in Washington, D.C., and the other kid was like making faces. So I said, stop it. Appreciate the picture. So he went like that. I thought that was a great nerd reaction. So what would family travel involve? Well, 2 or more kids. No, don't get me wrong. If you have 1 kid, that counts. More than 2, I think that takes it up a notch. And I say that because 4 is ideal, not like the ideal family size, but like with travel. So I've noted like it's great to have a family of 4. If I had more, it'd be problematic because we can go like on business class, like 2 seats here, 2 seats here. In an Uber, we can still get just the normal ordinary size Uber. One of us sits in front, 3 across the back, and pay the same price. If we had 1 more family member, we'd have to pay extra for an Uber XL or something like that. So a lot of like European countries have restrictions on size. So like, would I have to get 3 rooms instead of 2, or like a suite, something like that? Whereas like, the 2 single beds is perfect for the kids. And then a lot of times with adjoining rooms, it's a king size in one room and 2 singles in the other. Well, that's perfect for mom, dad, and 2 kids. So if you had 5 or more kids, that could be your niche of like how to travel with a large family, because you'd have extra challenges. You could do something about working around school schedules and how like you have to travel at certain times of year because you can't go to the Maldives in February. Or alternatively, maybe you're a homeschool family, so you have the most possible flexibility. You can talk about doing your lessons on the road in your minivan or something like that, or doing a science lesson on the airplane. You could, I remember when I went to see Yorktown, Virginia, a couple years ago in April, there was a family that got out of like a big full-size van with like 7 or 8 kids. And I'm like, I would bet $100 they're homeschooled. And they asked me to take a picture for them, or I volunteered or something like that. But yeah, hey, the great thing is they can take a week off from school in the middle of April when everyone else is in school and travel when rates are low. Maybe that offsets some of the challenges of having more than 2 people. What about needing a lot of points? That's a unique aspect of family travel. If you're flying with 4, 5, 6 people, that one sign-up bonus is not going to cut it. You're going to need a lot of points. And then you have to have 110% point stewardship. So I know sometimes we're like, yeah, I used an extra 7,000 points on my ticket to upgrade to premium economy, but you know what? It's only 7,000 points. If you're traveling with 6 people, you can't do that because all of a sudden, that becomes 42,000 points instead of 7,000 points. Check my math if I'm wrong on that one. So you just have to be a really super stingy tightwad with your points. I'm not saying you have to get low point value, but you can't be wasteful. Every point used has to be very purposeful if family travel is going to be your niche. Catching up on the comments, Edward Parker has arrived and is now a big-time Dugroz diehard. Thanks for joining, Edward. Celebrate. That's just as good as a $3 super chat. Flying Ryan says 3. I'm assuming you have 3 kids. 3 is only good for economy, and we aren't striving for that. Exactly. Anything more than 4 gets extra complicated. It's like the difference between 2 and 3, a little complicated. Between 3 and 4, really not much of a change. The difference between 4 and 5, now you've got complications. I'm not saying you should limit your family to 4 members just for the sake of travel, but think about it. Hey, Ron Byrne has arrived, so thanks for the shout out. I'm watching a little bit behind. Ron Byrne brought the Hilton gift card topic on board. Thank you, Ron. King Sam has arrived. Happy to see you, King Sam. Not all retailers ship to APO and FPO, especially marketplaces like eBay. See, it could be a niche, and you guys could debate this stuff. Xavier ID says, we homeschool. We're taking a week off in the middle of April for Hawaii. Exactly. Hey, Xavier, if you ever decide to start a channel, I think you found your niche. Edward Parker, glad to be here. All right, let's keep going. Big and eyes. There we go. Okay. This is just an example of some family travel. So this is my family in Washington, D.C., looking at the Capitol building. Another aspect of family travel is you can go out and get, $40 pork chops occasionally, but sometimes you got to be cheap. And on the picture on your right was a day in Washington, D.C. we just ate out of food trucks. And if you're a fan of the 49ers, my son's shirt says it's Purdy time. Number 2 is rewards for beginners. And, I'll go through the bullet points and explain why I picked these photos. So what would it be like if you did a channel, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, whatever, all about credit card rewards for beginners? I will pause for just a second here. Do any of you know of a good alternative to YouTube? I'm not saying I'm planning to leave YouTube, but if YouTube ever banned me or something, where else could I go? It's a thought I've had. Send me a private message or put it in the comments. I can get to it later. You would have to do credit card rewards 101. So I sometimes talk about and joke about how my channel is really not for beginners. It's not that I try to exclude beginners, but just it doesn't really appeal to me that much to explain what is 524 and that kind of stuff. I will say I do graduate level points and miles. So I'm talking about the more nerdy tricks. But you conversely could have a channel just for just for beginners. Every once in a while, I'll have a normie, a real life friend, ask me well, what's a good way to get into it? Okay, it's only happened twice ever. And the best I can come up with is there is a podcast called Fly Free MD. It's by a medical doctor, Dr. Justin Krutzinger. I think it's Justin, might be Dustin. And he has a podcast. He doesn't update it very often, but if you go back and listen to his podcasts in order, they're actually really good for beginners. So if you were doing rewards for beginners, you of course need to always be talking about and explaining Chase 524. I will say, and Chad from Chad's Money's Minutes mentioned this a month or so ago, if you're a well-established credit card YouTuber, you don't have to explain 524 in detail on every single video. a brief mention is fine. Order of application is important. Like, you might want to start with Chase cards. Don't be like credit card rewards and go on an app spree, which I think most of us probably did. But explain, pacing yourself. Order, like, you can save Amex for a little later. You want to make sure you get your Capital One and Citi after you get your Chase, that kind of stuff. The con to this is your audience outgrows you. But an offsetting pro is you're always getting new people in. So I'm not sure, like, would the con of your audience outgrowing you outweigh the pro of always getting new people, or the other way around? I don't really know. Just to explain these pictures here, this is my rookie phase. I got into Points and Miles in April of 2019. Took my first rip trip it wasn't entirely on Points and Miles. That became a rule later on. It was mostly on Points and Miles. I flew for free. I got my lodging for free. I don't remember if I paid for my rental car or not. I went to St. Charles, Missouri, and this is the St. Charles Tourism Center, which is 230 whatever road. 230 is my favorite 3-digit number. And if you're ever wondering where my avatar for my channel came from, it was from this exact trip. So look, I'm wearing the exact same thing here as I am here. I was walking down a street, and I was so excited. I took a picture of the bathroom in my hotel. It was a Holiday Inn, which was, exciting to me. Okay, I'll be honest, it still kind of is exciting. I take lots of pictures of the hotels I stay in, then just never use them except for occasional B-roll footage. So let's see. I've got a video to share with you here. I think you'll be able to hear this. So right after I say something like 1800s, look at my facial expression, and you can see the exact screenshot that my channel avatar comes from. Skipping ahead. Go. I'm directly in front of the first capital of Missouri in St. Charles, Missouri. Brick buildings, brick streets, 1800s. It's awesome. Okay, so now you know where my channel avatar came from. Whatever that's worth. St. Charles contains... All right, we'll come back to number 3 here. Catching up on comments. Where were we? Chad's Money Minute says, yo from Athens. Hey, it's like your ears were burning. I mentioned you even. Did you hear my mention? I can't remember. Athens, like Greece, not too far from Crete. QC Man is here. It says, I'm guessing your son's shirt is more a tribute to Purdy's alma mater, not so much a Niners fan. It's one of those generic copyright-free shirts that doesn't have any particular team. So why not both? AP Points and Miles redemption with Dugroz. Advanced placement. That's right. MR is wondering if Chad went to Athens, Georgia. QC Man likewise asks, Greece or Georgia, Chad? And he says Greece. Yeah, I think we all knew that. Although maybe, what college is in Athens, Georgia? I know it's one of the major ones. Flying Ryan says, I think beginner does so well because normies like the idea, but not the work. You would get a lot of people coming in who don't really have stick-to-itiveness, that's for sure. 65 people on board. Please click the like button. It is interesting sometimes when I get into these types of topics that are more like, maybe not a super broad appeal, I'll get kind of like the 65 people watching and just kind of hold steady. Like no up, no down, just kind of hold steady. It's about 6 p.m. in Greece. Awesome. Thanks, Chad. That could be my next market is Europeans watching in the afternoon. Whatever happened to Sam K, by the way, from the United Kingdom? He hasn't shown up in about a month. MR asked Chad to eat some baklava for us. I like food. Don't know what that is. And Quality Control Man says, nice. I'm sure we'll get a great video on this down the line. Probably a random live stream at like 5 a.m., something like that. QC Man says, your friends who don't understand Points and Miles must think you've got the greatest job in the world, or you're secretly Walter White, Chad. Yeah, I've talked a few times about how people don't really understand. And no one has said this to me, but I've always wondered if people are like, you're telling me on one hand, you're not going to send your kids to this activity because it's too expensive. On the other hand, you're going to Europe. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not paying for Europe. It's 100% zero out of pocket. That's hard to understand. I asked my boss for a raise and I get, something smaller than I want. And she's probably thinking like, you've got plenty of money, Doug. You just you're going to Europe this summer. I don't know what that means, but I'll take your word for it, Don Kim. And we got some people saying hi to each other. MR says, I had to take a break from being a point bro for a while. Now I'm slowly easing myself back into it like the old days. Awesome. QC Man points out the University of Georgia is based in Athens. Okay. They're the Bulldogs, right? Mojo says, I got the PenFed Pathfinder card and I have a checking account that I can waive the annual fee for this card. I'm wanting to close this checking account that waives the fee. I want to close this card. Okay. Thoughts on closing this card? I just don't know much about it. If I remember correctly, that's the card that's like $100 annual fee and it gives you $100 general travel credit every year. So it's a great do no harm card, but I don't know that the features are that advanced for me that I'm going to go out on my way to get it. MR says, nice to be around good folks in the chat again. Excellent. Hopefully we were never bad folks. And Mojo says, I'm not able to reallocate the credit limit of this card and not able to product change the card as well. I guess it just depends. If you've got a well-established credit history, closing it's not going to do any harm, and I would feel comfortable doing that. If you're newer to the game and it's going to hurt your average age of credit, then just hang in there. Let it go. Use it. Back to the stuff here. Number 3, small business owner credit card optimization could be a niche that you might have. For those of you who just came on board, we're talking about sub niches within our community about points and miles for things like a new YouTuber could start a channel about, or transition an existing channel into. What would small business owners have? Well, you would have a focus on spend and probably high spend. One of you folks is a restaurateur, if I remember correctly. Probably buying, several $1,000s worth of pizza dough every month, that kind of thing. I had a friend who used to be a self-employed over-the-road truck driver, and he said he spent between $50,000 and $60,000 a year on gas. So, a focus on spend makes a lot more sense for that person than for plain old W2 Doug over here. You could even find a good use case for the Capital One Venture X business. I ever thought if I had a business where I had a lot of cash flow going through it, that would be my card of choice. You would have to discuss churning versus annoyance, because anytime you get into a chat about people that are like, hey, I run $10,000 a month through my card for X, what card should I use? If you're on Facebook or whatever, you'll always get people saying, man, if I had that, I'd be doing a new sub every single month. Well, you know what? Doing a new sub every month probably gets annoying after a while, and you're going to blow through your velocity. So there's a teeter-totter there. More rewards if you just churn subs, but it's annoying, and you need to spend time focusing on your business. So how do you balance that out? That could be a good topic. Tax implications, because if you're a small business owner, you're paying all your own taxes. So paying your taxes with a card, estimated quarterly income tax, state taxes, property tax, et cetera, et cetera. And then if you're always referring your player 2 back and forth and you go over $600 and you're constantly getting these 1099s, how does that come into play? When to take vacations versus working on your business. So you might think being self-employed is great. You can travel anytime you want. You can be like Xavier and go to Hawaii in April. Well, but who's going to run your business while you're gone? And the con would be a limited audience. Like, would the audience be too small to really sustain your channel? I don't know the answer to that. So just a thought for small business owner credit card optimization. QC Man says, this is like a David Letterman top 10 list. Yeah, kind of, except I'm counting up instead of down. Rewards Master says, I have a family member that's a dentist. Massive spending through business. They travel with 5 people for free whenever they want. Oh, man. I would imagine somebody else told me they had an associate who was like orthodontist or something like that, who runs, I think, $200,000 a year through a credit card, and they don't want to do churning. So they've just got like 2 or 3 cards. They run everything through it. So I could definitely see that being a topic du jour or de year. Number 4, travel hacking on a budget. So we just got done with small business owners, which would probably be high spenders. Now let's talk about low spenders. And I feel like I need to explain this clip art. First of all, I almost always do my prep for my live streams late on Friday. And when it gets to like midnight, I just have to turn it off because I'm too tired. So I have Adobe Spark, which if you pay for the premium version will give you clip art that you can use for free. If you steal it, it's a copyright violation. But since I pay the monthly fee, I get to use it. And first I typed in just like, I didn't want to type in poor person because I don't mean like homeless, but I was like guy with no money in his wallet. It gave me the bottom picture. And then I looked for other, like I typed in like middle class person. And apparently it thinks middle class people are like IT workers who wear suits all day. So then I typed in like average American. And the first one was this top guy. So apparently the guy in the backwards hat and the half zip is an average American. So this is travel hacking on a budget. And considerations would include some of the following. You need to focus on affordable travel strategies. I'm kind of adjacent to this issue. I definitely do the affordable when I'm going on my next trip to Albany, New York in just over a month or two. I'm going to be flying economy on Delta. Maybe I'll upgrade myself. I don't know. Main cabin, but still I'm in the back of the plane and I'm okay with that. But I also like to fly my family and business to Europe every other year. So I'm much like somebody earlier said they're Dave Ramsey adjacent. I'm budget travel adjacent. Airfares, that doesn't come up a lot anymore. I think that was a big thing 10 years ago. When an airline accidentally lists a fare that's too cheap, like if you fly from, I'm just making something up, Kansas City with a layover in Los Angeles to Bolivia, what's normally premium economy for $900, they accidentally listed it for $90. And you've got like a 6-hour window to get in there and get that. So you'd want to sign up for one of those email lists that'll help you find airfares. That's something you could talk about. You could maybe even distribute the information on airfares. You would want to focus on low or no annual fee cards. If you're like this guy and you don't have any money in your wallet, or this guy that's the best hat he can afford, that picture just cracks me up. You'll definitely not want to have a business platinum card and pay $695. You'll want to do like maybe the CSP at most, or an Aeroplan card for $99, or be like Yuri and get 10 custom caches, something along those lines. And you'd be targeting low income to middle income people. I don't even know if you're really targeting low income people, because I'm not saying this to be judgmental. Just from what I've observed through life and my job, I run across a lot of lower income people. If you're low income, like say your total household income, say a married couple, if your total household income is under $50,000 a year, you might not even have credit cards because you might not be able to get them. So I feel like I'm pretty middle class. Like if you look at my household income compared to like medium figures for the whole United States, I'm like right in the middle of that bell curve. But I feel like I'm on the low end of points and miles people. Like you have to be at least lower middle class to even participate. So probably that lower middle class to just plain middle class would be your target audience. And then lastly, subs become even more valuable. I've often said, not often, sometimes people will say things like, well, you need to focus more on everyday spend, not just subs. It's like, that's easy to say if you have a great deal. Like I saw Chad's Money Minutes was on board here. Last I knew at his job, like he would buy lunch several times a week for the whole office on his gold card. And like people would reimburse him, and he could easily run like $1,000 a week through his gold card just on that. If you have some sort of deal like that, or you're a business owner, or you own a couple properties, or you travel for work, that's great. But if you're like me and you're just a cubicle dweller who doesn't own any side properties, people don't reimburse him for lunch, work doesn't pay for my travel, reimburse me, I've just got like $40,000 to $50,000 a year of plain old W income that I can run through a credit card. I'm not saying that's my income, but not too long ago it was. I have to do subs just to keep up with the rest of you. Like that's the only way I can get ahead. So that's something you could talk about on that kind of channel. All right, let me take a peek at the comments here. I can't see comments and my slideshow at the same time. Let's see. MR says it must be nice to pay through the teeth for travel. David Williams says, my grandparents owned a car dealership and paid everything with a credit card. I got many tickets to Europe. Awesome. I hope they optimized that. At least had a card that got 1.5 cents per point or something. Mojo's talking about his PenFed card, and I'll just leave that as a side conversation here. Yeah, okay, that's about it. Still 67 people on board. Keep clicking thumbs up. And if you're watching this after the fact, put a comment down below. Any comment at all. Just put the number of which one of these you like best, like number 4. That way more people will watch it and click thumbs up. Then more people will watch it after the fact. Back to the topic. Okay, number 5. Oh, now we're steering the ship 180 degrees. That was a 360. Luxury travel using credit card rewards. And I can't tell if that clip art of the lady in a reclining seat is AI generated or an actual picture of a woman. What do you guys think? So we've got flying in first or business class. We've got the Waldorf Astoria, very, that kind of stuff. I think that's the one in Washington, D.C. So what would we talk about if we did high-end travel? Well, we would focus on high-end travel. Or I should say, what is luxury? Well, you're not so much worried about how are you paying for your Airbnb in West Virginia to go look at the waterfall. You're more worried about, like, how are you going to pay for your stay at the Waldorf Astoria? Maybe you're going to London. Maybe you're going to Vienna. Maybe you're going to the Maldives, or you're going to Bora Bora. Oh, geez, bring me the insurance policy from the hot air balloon, please. I'm exaggerating to prove a point. In this case, you would say cents per point are more important than free, or my opposite. So you know that I like to get good cents per point, but the most important thing is making sure I travel for free. This would be the opposite. So this person would say the most important thing is getting outstanding value. You're getting your 6 to 12 cents per point on international business class. You're getting 2, 3, 5 cents per point on hotels. You're probably never going to use points to pay for a rental car. You're never going to use points to pay for, that boat ride. You're never going to use points to pay for the Hoover Dam parking lot, etc. In fact, you're going to pay for your cheap flights with cash, and you're going to save your points for the aspirational stuff, like I just said. I think Uncle Luke was on my channel several weeks ago, and I mentioned something. I don't remember what it was, but he was like, that super cheap economy flight, just pay for that in cash, save those Aeroplan points for a big-time business class flight. And you wouldn't have that dilemma. And my response was something like, I get where you're coming from because you're number 5, I'm number 4. So in my case, I have to make it free. But if I had the luxury of having some disposable income that was, I'm not saying my family has none. About 7 years ago, we had none. But if you have low to no disposable income, what cash? I'll just pay for it with cash. What cash am I paying for it with? But that would be the opposite of this person. So you need to have some freedom of income. Again, you could be a business owner. Maybe you're an empty nester. You're in your 50s, 60s, or just fortunate enough that you have a high enough paying job that you can say every year on January 1st, I'm just going to budget. I'm going to move $10,000 from my family budget to my travel savings account. And that $10,000 is what's going to pay for my $78 economy fares. That budget is going to pay for my $65 boat ride in Sweden, that kind of stuff. I need to figure out how to get there in first class. Is this oversaturated? I'm not really sure. A lot of people in this space kind of touch on this. Uncle Luke kind of touches on it. Ask Sebi kind of touches on it. Even I do occasionally. Okay, once ever when I went to Europe. But, lots of channels will be a little bit here and a little bit there. And I think that's normal. That's human nature. I think we all just want to talk about, here's what I'm doing. And I think for most of us, it's a mix of budget and luxury travel. But what if you focused your channel exclusively on luxury travel? A hat tip is the YouTuber that I think does one of the best jobs of it is the Rewards Master. And if you're still on board, shout out Rewards Master. 772 subscribers. Let's see if we can get him up over 1,000. But he will come right out and say his viewpoint's the exact opposite of mine. So on that teeter-totter of luxury versus free, it's going to be luxury. So my $79 Delta flight, I'm just going to pay for it with cash, and I'm going to save the points for things like first class flights. I'm going to try to be flexible and maybe get last minute deals on first class Lufthansa and that kind of stuff. Business class, where I'm getting 6 to 12 cents per point. So this niche already exists, and some people are doing it, including Rewards Master. So hat tip to you. I really enjoy your channel. All right, let's not give the store away here. All right, catching up on comments. Oh, there aren't very many. There's one. QC Man says, I think there's a lot of channels for number 5. Is that the one we just talked about? I think it was. Yeah, luxury travel. I think there's lots of channels for number 5, but I doubt most people watching those channels actually optimize like those creators. Yeah, I would wonder, like, how many people are in the same situation where you're either high enough income or you're an empty nester that you have some flexibility? Is there enough to sustain the channel? And by sustain, I mean, I think we can all get to, 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers. Like, I've noticed, like, the credit card game kind of tops out around 150,000 subscribers. Like, that's the total number of interested people in the whole world, is what it seems like. Can you get up to that level if you're just focusing on luxury travel? I don't know. I think you probably could, because you would have people that are in that boat and people who want to be in that boat. So I think it could happen. And hey, Rewards Master is still on board. Thanks for the shout out. You are more than welcome. Thank you for your channel. I put a link to Kaylee June's channel down in the description box, and there's a link to Rewards Master's channel down there as well if you're not sure how to get to it. 69 people on board, so keep clicking thumbs up and subscribe if you've not yet done so. All right, where were we? We were right there. Next, number 6. We got 12 total, so we're halfway, and they get a little shorter as we go. Optimizing credit card rewards for foodies. So I'm luxury travel adjacent. I'm budget travel adjacent. I feel like I'm also foodie adjacent because I like food. At the top is a local Mexican restaurant. At the bottom is the Bluff City Grill in Alton, Illinois. I like food. Folks, my back is starting to hurt, so I'm going to stand here. I do have a sit-stand desk. Hopefully this doesn't screw things up. Bear with me. I'm going to talk while this is coming up. So the idea would be you could travel to get to the food centers of the world. So like on your foodie credit card and travel channel, what you would do is use your points to get to a place like Memphis, Dallas, New Orleans, Chicago, etc. At like 11:45 last night, I was trying to think, like, what are the cities in the United States that are really known for foodie food? Give me some ideas. Put them in the comments. I'd be curious. Those are the ones that I thought of. Like Memphis is barbecue, Dallas is barbecue, New Orleans is Cajun food and seafood, Chicago is deep dish pizza. I suppose Boston would have seafood, that kind of stuff. Maybe Maryland. I don't know. I love free food, and free stuff tastes better. We discussed that last week. So I think you would have a pretty easy following here because people like food. And just like I said with luxury, you would have people that do it and people who want to do it. You could get both. And then third point, dining's earnings card would be a big deal. So you want to make sure, you're getting 4X on your Amex Gold. You'd want to make sure you're getting 3X on your Saver or Chase, whatever. There's multiple Chase cards. I need to put together one of those universal link things sometimes that if anyone's planning to sign up for any of the Chase cards, like the Freedom Flex, Freedom Unlimited, not the Freedom, but the second two, let me know. I'd be happy to send you my personal refer a friend link. So you need to talk about that. You need to talk about how, like, well, I use my Amex Gold in the United States, but overseas I use my whatever. One potential con is you can't generally or often pay for food with points. I'm not sure why the word back in cash back is much bigger, but you need to look for maybe like cash back, like I do. I have the cash back account that I just kind of keep and hang out with to use for things. So you might have to do bank account bonuses or a cash back card to make sure that you have money to pay for that food when you do go on vacation. I'll read some. No, I'm going to go to my next screen here. It's almost embarrassing how many pictures of food I have on my phone. I keep thinking I'll find a use for them, and then I don't. And what's also either awesome or embarrassing, depending on how you look at it, is I can tell you where each of these pictures was taken just by looking at the food. So top left, this is at the Hyatt Centric in New Orleans. On my last night there, I went down to the bar and ordered this pork chop club sandwich. Joe Barretto was sitting right next to me. We had a good evening of fellowship. That was a tasty sandwich. This is in Springfield, Illinois at Abe's Hideout, like Abe Lincoln. That's cheesy fries with bacon bits dipped in ranch. This is also in New Orleans. This is the meal that Xavier turned me on to, the Southern style biscuits and gravy. This is a local Mexican restaurant around here. That is a shrimp quesadilla. It's very good. Oh, I'm just drooling looking at this one. This is Bandana's Barbecue next to the St. Louis Lambert Airport. This is the brownie fudge sundae that Filmo bought for me down in New Orleans. Not really. It was, I had a coupon for a free dessert, but I had to be a part of somebody else's order. So I asked Filmo if he would pretend to be my dad. So he put it on his order, got the coupon. So it didn't actually cost either of us anything, but he left the tip. So I benefited from that. Thank you for your generosity, Filmo. And then here's some more. The top left was one of the breakfasts at the Salamander Resort in Middleburg, Virginia. Oh man, that looks so good. Top middle is a cheeseburger at a little restaurant in Davis, West Virginia, which is one of those little towns next to the Blackwater waterfall. Very good hamburger there. Top right is the famous pork chop that I've talked about so many times at the Inabit Grill, Old Inabit Grill in Washington, D.C. This is a tenderloin from Johnson's Corner Restaurant in Alton, Illinois. This is a place that is a sports bar in Wheeling, West Virginia. I think it's called CJ's Sports Bar and Grill, and it is right across the street from the best Hampton Inn in America, as voted by the people who stay there 4 out of the last 5 years. A little bit fell in the ranch, but man, dipping those steak fries in ranch was heavenly. And then the bottom right is a place called the Whacked Out Wiener in Foley, Alabama. They serve hot dogs, wieners. All right, now it's time to catch up on the comments here. Rewards Master says this is luxury travel. It's for the golden triangle people, equal time, money, and health. Yeah, I actually thought about the health aspect, and I'll come back to that in a little while. So yeah, I think there's a market for those folks. Hey, Nicholas Alaya drops a $1.99 super chat. Thank you, Nicholas. Celebrate, celebrate. I appreciate that so much. Thank you for your patronage. Don Kim says, New York City has a good concentration of Michelin star restaurants. Do foodies look for Michelin star restaurants, or are they too expensive? I guess I don't know. Is there a subcategory of foodies like this kind of food? Like I want a really good hamburger or pork chop, or I'm totally happy with steak fries and a tenderloin, even a really good wiener. QC Man gifted a Dugroz Reports membership. Celebrate, celebrate. Just as good as a $3 gift. I appreciate your patronage, QC Man. Also a diehard. Nicholas says, Las Vegas is the restaurant capital of the world. Are they known for any one type of food? I honestly don't know the answer to that. Philmo is still here and says, that's what being a fake dad is all about, son. Thanks, Dad. JazzFan27 says, I'm not about luxury or free. My focus is value. I think that's what I am too. But let me know if I'm wrong. QCMA says that barbecue plate from St. Louis looks great. It was, let me tell you. Oh. Happy Tom says, I've already subscribed to Dugroz Eats, my 3rd or 4th channel coming out. Don Kim says, I too can recall my vacation itinerary based on food photos. Player 2 often gets jealous that my photo storage more food photos than the two of us. I don't think I'm quite there, but man, on solo travel I am. Hey, as soon as I start talking about food, the viewership clears 70. So thanks for clicking thumbs up, everyone. Please keep doing it if you will. Maybe Dugroz Eats should be my new channel. Tucking that away. All right. Next up would be number 7, eco-friendly travel with credit card rewards. So we're talking green travel here. This isn't something that I'm specifically into, but I guess I've accidentally dabbled in it a few times. So eco-tourism. So like you want to look at things like rainforests and you want to travel without harming the environment, that kind of stuff. I do think there is probably a market for that with a credit card focus, of course. Sustainable travel using credit card rewards, focus on things that are eco-friendly. And lots of train travel. I took a picture of one of the 2 times I used Amtrak in the top right-hand corner because I've heard that train travel is one of the most eco-friendly forms. We've got Amtrak, but of course in Europe they've got everything. In Japan you've got the bullet train, that kind of stuff. There's probably even trains. I know I used to play a lot of Railroad Tycoon for my PC back in the day. You can build a line from Cairo down to Johannesburg, South Africa. So Africa has it too. And then the bottom right picture is me in a Airbnb. Not always, not necessarily, but an Airbnb can be more environmentally friendly, especially if it's like a tiny home, or say like you're just renting a room in somebody's house. So there's less dedicated resources per capita, that kind of thing. You're giving a local person a job. Maybe they use well water. I don't know. One con is you're not really going to be promoting first and business class travel because the idea is your carbon footprint is smaller if you do economy travel, because we want to cram as many people on each flight as possible because the pollution output of the airplane is maybe not fixed, but pretty close to fixed. So like a plane with 300 people all in economy is going to be a lot more eco-friendly than a plane with 200 people in economy and 100 people in business and first class or something like that. So I'm not going to get into a political debate. I avoid politics on this channel, but it's something that you would have to take into consideration. You're going to have a segment of the population you're not going to be able to attract because of that. Checking the comments here real quick. Source King says there's a Michelin-starred burgers, pork chop sandwiches, and barbecue. Awesome. Maybe someday I'll go to a Michelin-star restaurant. Wells Fargo Attune is targeted exactly towards this niche. The eco-friendly one. What does the Attune have? Let's see, like pet food, salons and barber shops. What else am I missing, Vincent, that would fit in this that would be eco-friendly? EV charging stations. Yeah, you could make I'm not sure what this gesture means, this universal symbol, medical technician. Like Teslas, electric vehicles. Doesn't have to be a Tesla, a Nissan Leaf or a Toyota Spark or a Chevy Blue Blobby, whatever. You could focus on like traveling in electric vehicles on this channel, that kind of thing. J2000, don't think we've met, Jay. How are you doing? Are you going to trademark Rip Trip? How much does it cost? I don't know how to trademark something, so I'm going to say I trademarked it. Patent pending, patent pending, patent pending. Maybe someday. Thanks for the advice. Glad to have you on board. All right. Keep it on, keep it on. We got 8 through 12 to go here. This is just a picture of me doing something that felt eco-friendly. I don't know if it was or not, but when I stayed at a cottage in Wales using my Wyndham points, that just looks eco-friendly. I mean, the sheep are mowing the grass. You've got rolling hills. I will say the air quality was like perfect. And then they had an EV charging port on the side of the building, little shed area that you could plug into. We didn't have an EV rental car, but if we had it, would have worked out. That could be something you could focus on. Number 8, something else I'm adjacent to, rewards for road trippers. I'm going out the country. Where do you wanna go? I'm going out the country. Flabbity blah wah wah. Gonna go somewhere I've never been before. Oh, sorry about that. So what would a road tripper channel focus on? It would focus on redeeming points for road trips. So it's like the rip trip without the puh. It's just a ri. You might have a rental car or some sort of car, and then inns or lodging that you're going to focus on. I put a picture of the Wells Fargo autograph journey because if you're staying at a lot of like boutique hotels or obscure hotels or cheap hotels or roach hotels that aren't a part of Marriott, Hyatt, Hilton, Wyndham, whatever, just a normal one-off place, it could be a really good fit. You're going to talk about rental cars, and you're going to talk about owning versus renting. And what I mean by owning is like you own your own car specifically for traveling around, or you need to make your choice very carefully because this is a car you're going to be spending a lot of time in. It's got to be comfortable and all that stuff. So you would want to talk about like, is it better to rent? Is it better to own? The form of road tripping that I do mostly is on these rip trips. I don't like long drives of like more than 4 hours is my limit for the ideal. 6 hours is what I can tolerate. Outside of that, I'm gonna fly. But I do like, like flying into Charlottesville, Virginia, renting a car and then driving 3 hours to my next destination. I like kind of these within a map, say, 200-mile radius of the airport I fly into, road tripping around that. So like I did this road trip video for Choice Hotels where I simulated a spring break road trip. That's not a rip trip. That's just how it would work. So again, I've touched on this before. Gas is obviously going to be really important. You're going to be spending a lot of money on gas. And hotels. So hotels is going to be important. This is something I could kind of transition into. I think we'll see. I wish I had more time to devote to my YouTube channel. I think I would really lean into domestic travel and like obscure landmarks and that kind of stuff. So I'd say this is probably the one that's closest to the niche I want to be in. I don't think I'm really quite there yet, although I touch on it a lot. And then what about work from anywhere? Like one idea I had is I complained in a members only video earlier this year about how my time off work is getting more restricted from my company. But I am work from home enabled. So I thought about taking a week away from home, but still working. So like on Friday, I might head out, do some fun things on Friday, Saturday, and then like either every night or every other night move to a new city. So I'm just making something up off the top of my head here. Say I want to head west. So first weekend, I'll drive from Des Moines to Omaha, and I'll do a lot of stuff in Omaha that's fun. I'll go see the Railroad Museum in Council Bluffs. And then I'll stay in a hotel. Next, I'll drive on to Grand Island, Nebraska. And Monday, I'll work from home in Grand Island. And then I'll move on to Denver, and I'll work from home in Denver. Not really home, work from the hotel in Denver. And then turn around and come back so that by Friday, I'm back home again. Of course, I'm away from my family, so you have to be careful about that. But that could be kind of interesting if you're someone that does work from home and you can work from anywhere. Just make it into a whole series of videos. I would even think of things like, are you comfortable using your work computer on hotel Wi-Fi? It depends on what you do. Does it need to be confidential? That kind of stuff. I've heard different opinions on that. Do you need to always look for Airbnbs because, it's going to be a situation where, oops, sorry, something funny with my computer. You're always going to need a wired connection. Are there any hotels that offer up a wired connection? If anybody knows, I'd love to hear about that. So that was number 8. Let's see, where were we? Vincent says the Attune is targeted towards eco-friendly. Categories include secondhand stores, recycling, and sustainable fashion. That makes sense. Public transit. That makes sense. And EV charging. Soap A says, I'm an idiot. I read the title as top 12 inches. No, it's niches, not inches. I also struggle with reading things wrong. I read it before I was caffeinated and made a similar mistake. Vincent says, every category may also include convenience stores. Gas category may include convenience stores. Every time you stop, you'll probably want to pick up some snacks. Yeah, that's true. I keep a snack category. MR suggests Rip Trip Chip Dip. That could be like my first product that I sell. Like Dude Perfect sells like toys and stuff, and Ryan Treber sells candy. I could sell Rip Trip Chip Dip. It's like in a little can. You pull the little ring up and peel it back. Dugroz here for, this is like a little vacuum thing. Dugroz brand Rip Trip Chip Dip. Thanks, Emma. That's a great name. Source King says, I'm working remotely from Sweden for 3 weeks in April. Oh, hey, cool. And I see your flag is the flag of Sweden. That's pretty awesome. How do you do that? And like, do you have concerns about hotel Wi-Fi? How are you going to hook up your computer that is both secure and high speed? I'd be curious to know. I got to get a move on here. We've only got about 15 minutes left before noon. Here are some, whoa, hold on. I hit the wrong button on my computer big time here. You ever see that Simpsons where it's like, I think a bear breaks loose and charges into the audience? It's on a talk show called Gentle Ben, which is a bear with a microphone strapped to its head, which is ridiculous. And he starts charging the audience and they go to the screen and says, sorry, we're having technical difficulties. That was me just now, although there was no bear involved. Here's a picture just showing how much I like these Rip Trip road trips. Again, I can tell you exactly where each one of these happened just based on the rental car. Sometimes I forget to take a picture, especially a picture with myself in it. This is Springfield, Illinois, the brick road nearby, part of Route 66. This is my dollar rental car in New Orleans. I drove up to Baton Rouge just for a day, an overnight. This is the rental car I had in Blackwater Falls, West Virginia. These look really similar. I don't know if they're the same car or not. This bottom left was my eclipse Rip Trip down to Ziegler, Illinois to see the solar eclipse last April. I got that rental car, which looks strangely similar to this one. I like Toyota Camrys. I like Kia Sorrentos. This is in Las Vegas from the first creator meetup year before last. And this is in Wales at the Lundy Lodge, our cottage we got there. Tiny. This was considered mid-sized. Like, look at that tiny little thing. Crazy Europeans and their tiny cars. All right. If Van and Bonnie can have ice cream, Dugroz can have AE make a Rip Trip Chip Dip. That's a lot of Central Iowa references there, Brian. Rex Blind is on board. Don't think we've met, Rex. We don't. You're a bear with a human filter. Cersei said, I'm staying with my mom. I've checked her internet on previous visits. Oh, okay. Yeah. If you have a relative in the place you're staying, that's a different story. I suppose I could make a road trip out of like visiting friends and family. I actually do have several cousins in Denver that I've not seen in a couple decades, tucking that away. I'm even going to screenshot that and just think about that. Just think it over, Doug. Think it over. All right, let's keep going here. What do we have? What's up next? Credit cards for stay-at-home parents. Look at that cute baby and just squishing the baby. So what would a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad do? Well, I think there could be something here, but I can't nail down exactly what it would be. So if any of you in the audience have any suggestions, I'd be glad to hear it. Obviously, there could be some, unique challenges with just one income. Although just because you're a stay-at-home parent doesn't mean you don't have income. Maybe you're a credit card content creator and you're making $300 a month or something along those lines. Who knows? Yeah, but you could somehow work your babies into your videos and that kind of stuff, or your kiddos. Maybe this would kind of combine with the family and homeschooling aspect. Like, player one works a regular 9-to-5 job. Player two is a stay-at-home parent or something like that. So yeah, I think there's also something with like, you're doing credit card applications. You don't really have your own income. Are you allowed to use your husband's income or your wife's income or other household members? Yeah, but like you can make a whole video about that kind of stuff. Vincent says, is there a minimum distance you have to drive to consider your trip a road trip? Can flying somewhere than driving long distance all over the place be considered a road trip? Well, to that second point, I would say yes, absolutely. If you fly, I'm just making something up here. You flew into Dallas, Texas, rented a car one way, drove to Albuquerque, New Mexico, saw the Painted Desert, saw the Carlsbad Caverns, turned in your rental car in Albuquerque and flew home. I would absolutely consider that I would also say for the first question, is there a minimum distance you have to drive to consider a road trip? Okay, so I live in Des Moines, Iowa. I grew up in Ottumwa, Iowa, and that's about 100 miles roughly. So I'm going to say 100 miles. I just now made that up. QC man, does your company expect you to be in office at least one day a week, or can you schedule an entire remote week? I can schedule an entire remote week. So I don't want to go into lots of details because it's boring, but in my company I work for, different employees have different classifications. And some people have a 3 days per week in office mandate. Some people have a 2 day per week in office mandate. I don't have any mandate. I work in office 1 day per week voluntarily. So if I'm on the road, that's totally fine. J2000 says Dugroz's next RIP trip, a quick weekend getaway on Qatar Q Suites to the Maldives. Card used, his black Amex that he finally reveals to us his RIP trip secret weapon. Ah, you caught me. I am going to the Maldives. I do have an Amex black card. I am flying on Q Suites all the time. I've just been keeping it secret from you guys. Good one. You got me. That was awesome, J2000. Thank you. That brought something to my mind. What was it I was going to mention? It'll come to me, maybe. MR says, in my opinion, any trip that's more than one full tank of gas should be considered a road trip. You know, I've rented a couple cars like where they're like hyper fuel efficient, especially if it's a hybrid, and I don't even use a full tank of gas, but I would still consider it to be a road trip. That's just an experience that I've had. Number 10, credit card rewards for retirees. Just 3 to go here. So what would that look like? I don't have a whole lot of information here, but one good thing about being retired is you can travel when you want to. Look at this happy couple. They're traveling all over the place. So, you know, or maybe you're a super young retiree like Cesar Joel, who retired in his late 40s because he served in the military. Thanks for your service. So he deserves it. But I am a little jealous of that aspect. You can travel when you want to if you're a retiree. And a con could be you're on a fixed income. Now, I've always felt like the term fixed income is a little deceiving. I used to work in fundraising 20 years ago, and sometimes I would ask people, not like arm twisting, but just nicely, would you be willing to make a donation? And I would often get from retired people, oh, I can't, I'm on a fixed income. It's really only a barrier if it's a low fixed income. Like if you live off $1,200 a month of Social Security, I totally get it. But it's almost like fixed income has become the euphemism for I'm really poor. I mean, what if you have a great job you retired from and your pension is $100,000 a month? You're on a fixed income. It's not going up. It's fixed at $100,000 a month. I digress. But yeah, you would have to be, depending on your circumstances, very frugal because you do have some kind of fixed income. That's something you could talk about on your channel for retirees. I do think a con would be, you'd have to, not a con, but something to talk about would be health. Rewards Master mentioned earlier, the trifecta of resources, health, and time. I've said with my parents, kind of jokingly, kind of seriously, that it's ironic when you are their age, they're in their 80s, not everyone's this way, you have all the time in the world, but you don't have the health to do anything, to help out or accomplish anything. When you're my age, I have the health to do things, but I don't have the time. It's like this great irony of life. So that's a topic you could talk about. A con would be eventually your audience is going to get either unhealthy enough or die, and they're going to trickle out. I also wonder if people that are, let's just say over age 58, not to stereotype any 58-year-olds on board, are you willing to change your habits if you haven't been into credit cards already? Are you going to get into it now? I don't know if there's enough of a market. Maybe there would be. Maybe there wouldn't be. What do you guys think? We already talked about that. Yuri G says, I'm also retired. Congrats, Yuri. Happy Tom says, are there any YouTubers in this space? I've been looking. You mean the retirees space or the one before it? Vincent says, cashback cards work really well for retirees, especially if they've been focused on investing. Yes, that would make sense. My new job is now MS. I'm assuming you're not referencing multiple sclerosis research there. You're probably referencing manufactured spending. And that probably explains why you have 10 custom caches. I get that reference. FC says, I recently advanced purchase a Hilton stay in Asia. No transaction was posted after a week. Hilton rep told me I would still fill out the pre-auth form for the card to be charged. Oh, sorry about that, FC. I don't have the Aspire, so I've never tried that. I've heard people have been able to do a pre-auth form to prepay. Like you want to prepay before June 30th, even if you're staying after July 1st. But I have no experience with it. QC Man says, no wonder we never see your house at the end of your Frugal Points videos. I thought it was for security reasons, but it turns out you're hiding your giant mansion. Yes, I am Scrooge McDuck in real life, basically. Happy Tom says, yes, retired and golden years travel. Awesome. We're getting close here. We're getting close. This is the channel for you. I don't know of anyone that does this. There is a channel that I ran across that will focus on the travel aspect. There's a couple like in their late 50s that they're expats by choice. They like live overseas most of the time. And they talk about that aspect. I don't remember it. Hit me up with a comment, not on here, but after the video ends, or a private Discord message if you want me to look for it. I might be able to find it. Oh, I didn't mention long-term stays overseas. Hey, that's just what I was mentioning. So this couple, for example, they went to like Thailand or Singapore or something like that, stayed there for 2 months and paid for a lot of out-of-pocket medical testing that would be super expensive in America. So that's a topic you could talk about, certainly. Number 11, credit card rewards for outdoor enthusiasts. And you got a picture of me here at Blackwater Falls on the back side. This is the less popular side. I need to give a big disclaimer here. I am kind of a low effort outdoor enthusiast. I mean, look at me. I'm obviously not winning any 10K races. This was a place where it's like there's a parking lot. You walk about 300 yards down a paved path to the overlook, and it's great. I love that kind of outdoor stuff when it's like parking lot, path, site you're supposed to see. If it's like hike to the bottom of the Grand Canyon, probably not. But let's say you were healthy and skinny and you loved hiking 10 miles at a time. What would a channel like that look like with credit card rewards? Well, for one thing, you would include camping, hiking, and more, fishing, whatever. And this is going to be very different because you maybe aren't always staying in hotels. You might be staying in things like auto camp, which is Hilton's thing where you stay in tents or RVs. I know Hyatt has one of those. I don't remember what it's called. I don't know if Marriott does or not. You're probably staying in a lot of national parks, which could be its own challenge because even, your Fairfield Inns and your Hyatt Places can be severely overpriced in a national park. Maybe the only hotel within a 20-mile radius is a Wingate by Wyndham, and they're charging $400 a night during the summer because the Grand Tetons are right over there, or some beautiful waterfalls right over there, that kind of thing. So you'd have to talk about like going to popular places versus out of the way places, like maybe the North Shore of Lake Superior would be less busy. You'd be looking for off the beaten path lodging. So you're probably not going to be focusing on Hyatts and Marriotts and Hiltons so much. Again, you might come back to like the Autograph Journey or something like that. Maybe like Vincent said, the Attune card is good. I think, is campgrounds one of the things that gets 4X on the Attune? I don't remember. You're probably doing a lot of cash back because if you're staying at a campground that's $20 a night. You're not going to have any special point earnings, or maybe I should say there's no way to pay for it with points. And then bugs, that's a disadvantage. I don't like bugs. One of the reasons I like to travel in April is because the bugs haven't come out yet, generally. Depending on where you go, of course. If you go to Nicaragua, there's probably going to be bugs and stuff. But like West Virginia didn't have bugs last April. And then you go in like mid to late October. Most of them are dead, but not all of them. Comments. Brian says, for whatever reason, van life videos are quite prevalent on the tube. They are. So if you could somehow work van life into credit card points and miles, that kind of stuff, that would work too. And number 12 is the last one. Credit card rewards for lovers of quirky geography. Do you think this one was made by AI or by me? Yeah, it was made by me. So this is like what I want to do. So I have a second channel called Dugroz Nostalgia where I hit on some of this. It's not very popular, I'm going to be honest, but I would love, at least theoretically, to be able to do that kind of stuff. So I don't even know what my tips are. Travel to the obscure places. I kind of already do that. And people like my videos about like the cards I use in general. But if I get real granular, like here's the time I went to Pensacola, Florida, it only gets like 400 views. So you just have to really think about whether or not you can make it with this. The picture in this slide is me at a place called the Fair. Oops. Credit card rewards for lovers of quirky geography, travel to obscure places. The picture in this video is me at the Fairfax Stone in West Virginia. So if you ever notice, the state of Maryland is like thick on the east, then it gets super skinny, then a little thicker. And the second thickness on the far west end ends with a straight line up and down. That's based off of this point right here, which is actually in West Virginia because of the way the Potomac River twists. But the original British grant back in colonial days was based off the source of the Potomac River, which was determined to be this rock, the Fairfax Stone. So I traveled to that rock, and surprisingly, there was only one other person there part of the time. It's not super popular. It's not exactly Niagara Falls, people. It's not exactly Old Faithful, but the Fairfax Stone is something I like talking about. I've thought about making a video about it, and at least 12 people would watch it. Review those places and how you paid for it. I get a little bit of traction for that, but I can't get too nerdy or it causes problems. There are a couple channels I want to give a shout out to. I didn't link these, but one is called Geography King. There's the channel. This is what he looks like. I don't remember the fella's name, but he talks about all that kind of stuff, but not with a points and miles focus. He has 258,000 subscribers. And then Beaver Geography has 100,000 subscribers and looks like this. In fact, when I went to New Orleans, I made a driving video over on my other channel about the ghost interchanges of New Orleans. Only got like 100 views. It was inspired by this channel. He found some abandoned interstate exits in New Orleans. And I went and filmed myself driving on them. So I really like that. If someone could somehow take a love of points and miles and a love of geography and combine them successfully, that would be a great channel. I would love to be that person. Frankly, I don't think I can pull it off. And then, this is leftover from last week when I petted the dog, which was a good doggy. And that's the end. That's all I have. So let's catch up on comments, and then we'll be moving towards the end real quick here. MR says, I remember when I was living in a van down by the river. Or no, I remember when living in a van down by the river was considered a bad thing. Filmo's World says, my niche would be the people who have more fun hoarding points and planning travel than actually taking the trip. I think that's all of them, or many of them. Vincent says, Capital One has REI, Bass Pro Shops, and Cabela's credit cards for outdoor enthusiasts. If they could combine it into all of one, that'd be awesome. Beaver Geography sounds like a damn good channel. I see what you did there. Thank you. You even got a smile from QC, man. Yuri says, I was very good at geography and still am. Awesome. Yeah, I've always loved geography and like looking at maps and those kind of things. So that does definitely appeal to me. Well, thank you for watching the theme of the day. We will quickly transition into and do our community tab posts. There's only like 4 of them, so it should be pretty quick. I know we're already at or very closely approaching noon Central Time, so I won't keep you very much longer. Share this tab instead. Okay, so there was my picture of the day, and you were supposed to guess where it was. Pulling this up on my phone right now. If you'll bear with me, I have to switch accounts. Dugroz reports. I was on Dugroz Nostalgia, my poorly performing alternate channel. And where are we? I have a question from JazzFan27, who was on board earlier. How you doing, JazzFan? Hi, I'm fairly new to the game, but learning quickly. I wanted to ask about my tentative plan for a roadmap and see if you thought I was making some errors, because what I'm thinking is a little non-standard. My current cards are Venture X, Southwest Personal, and CSP. I'm assuming that's Chase Sapphire Preferred, because there's also the Strata Premier. That's a good starting point. Very good. My plan moving forward is to add the Southwest Business Card and earn the Companion Pass. Then when it starts to get weird is that I'm thinking of getting the Aeroplan card and using my UR points to pay for Southwest flights at 1.625 cents per point plus companion. Then again, non-standard. I was thinking about adding the Hilton Surpass for the gold status and either earning or buying Hilton points for my hotel stays. I don't know if I can match Hyatt's value for bookings, but I'm hoping that with gold status and fifth night free, I can do very well, along with having an easier time booking Hilton rewards. Okay, so the first part of that I think is amazing. If you're going to be able to use the Southwest Companion Pass, yes, that would be a great next step. And I had literally never thought of using the Southwest Companion Pass with the Southwest card in conjunction with Aeroplan to buy Southwest flights where you get the companion free. That is brilliant. So I would give you a standing ovation, but I'm already standing. The next part about adding the Hilton Surpass for gold status and earning or buying Hilton points for my hotel stays. That's okay, and I have the Hilton Surpass. I like the Hilton Surpass for other reasons. I want to make sure I'm getting that free breakfast or free food. I like Hilton's guaranteed connecting rooms, but you're right. They're not the best value, so it kind of depends what you're going for. I've also found out that actually using fifth night free doesn't come up very often. I've only pulled it off once since 2019 with Hilton. So it depends on the kind of travel you're doing. If you know for sure you like Hilton for one of those other reasons, yes, I think that's a good next step. But if you're just going to be doing more of my style domestic rip trip type travel, you can always do Hyatts without even earning on a Hyatt card. So I'd go for something like a Freedom Unlimited or a Chase Business Inc. Unlimited, something like that first. But if you know you're dedicated to Hyatt, if you know you're dedicated to Hilton, I would go with that. You could also look at like the business IHG card would be a good fit for that too. I'm always just a big fan of transferable currencies in general. Thank you so much, Jazz fan. I appreciate it. Next, Ron Byrne guessed for the picture here that I was getting some Sunkissed tuna packets for a picnic with the family. I did get one Sunkissed tuna packet, which is similar to a Lunchables, but nope, we found out earlier that was raiding the pantry at the Home to Suites and True. And then the only other question this week is Father7875 asked, and I saw that avatar online. You know how like sometimes it shows one on lives and a different one later on? That's JC2000, this person right here. Father7875 says, will the Dugroz household ever be a 4 or 5 or 6 Hilton Aspire household? Probably not, honestly. Great question, though, Father. Right now, I don't have any Hilton Aspire cards because I don't stay at resorts. I stay at like either a place in a city, like right downtown, or like the Hampton Inn, Hilton Garden Inn, Doubletree in Springfield, Illinois, that kind of thing. I don't really stay at the beach resorts, which are what you need to max out your Aspire and make it worthwhile. Now, once my kids are grown and out of the household in a few years, I might pick up 1 or 2 because the missus and I are more likely to go to Majorca or Panama City Beach and just park it on the beach for a few days. 5 nights, get fifth night free, get the resort benefit and all that. But even then, we would probably only be a 1 or 2 Aspire household. I can't really envision any scenario in which I have 5 or 6. I know that works for some people. I know Uncle Luke loves it. And if you are that kind of household, by all means, do it. I'm not saying it's bad, but just doesn't really suit me. Vinza says, if you're in the enviable position of having multiple, oh, this is to Yuri. You're in the enviable position of having multiple passports. Yeah. Jake T. How you doing, Jake? I don't remember if you commented earlier, but happy to see you. You're a diehard. Thank you for your patronage. The small business niche is least served by the community. I can see that. In terms of like, if you compare demand to the service meeting it, I think that is the biggest gap. Probably the geography nerds is actually the least served, but it's because it's like me and Yuri and no one else. Yuri also responded to the passport comment. I was good even before I had passports at geography. It was in school. I think because of this, I have many passports. Awesome. Let's review who's made a contribution to the cause today. I'm pretty sure I got over that $25 or whatever it was I needed. Tom Graber dropped $5 in a super chat, as did Ian M at $1.99. Xavier celebrated his 8 months of membership. John R gave $1.99 before ducking out. Texas Dog did the exact same thing. Seabass became a member. That's as good as a $3 chat. Vincent gave me $1.99. Ian gave $4.99. Seabass was very generous and gifted 5 memberships. That's the equivalent of $15 in donation. MR gave $9.99. Thank you. Xavier gave $9.99. Rewards Master gave $1.99. David William dropped a $3 super chat. KidCat 37 gave $4.99. Edward Parker became a new member, which is just as good as a $3 contribution. Nicholas Elia gave $1.99, and QC Man gifted 1 membership, which is just as good as a $3 donation. So thank you so much, everyone. That's kind of the end of it. Last chance to drop a super chat and click thumbs up if you want to. A super sticker is also appreciated. Those can go as low as 99 cents. Sopa says, multiple Aspire sounds good because of the free night awards, but spending the mental cycles to use the resort credits sounds maddening, especially once you get more than about 2. So where was the location of the photo in front of the hotel? Oh, I'm sorry. It was the same. I actually saved it in the form of a video, but my computer's not letting me show that video. I apologize. I wonder if I embed it real quickly here in my, whatever you call this. Nope, it won't let me. Sorry, it won't let me show it. It was the same True/Home to Suites here in the greater Des Moines area that I was walking out of with my Lunchables and Hot Pockets. Thank you for asking, Quality Control Man. All right, we're going to head on out. Thanks, everyone, for watching today. And as always, may your spending be frugal and may your points be plenteous. Have a good one.